Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everybody for your patience, and we would like to start the November meeting of the Santa Cruz County Board of Education with a roll call, please.
Trustee Acosta. Trustee Kyle.
Here.
Trustee Larson.
Here.
Trustee Roth.
Here.
Trustee Van Allen.
Here.
Vice President Williams.
Here.
President Sanchez.
Here.
Student Trustee Guillen Martinez.
Here.
Student Trustee Amor.
Here.
Thank you. Did we get any requests from board members for remote attendance?
We did not receive any requests, President Sanchez, but Trustee Acosta didn't inform us that he is not feeling well today.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'm going to ask those who can to please stand up and join us as we pledge allegiance to our flag from our Superintendent Sabah.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, approval of agenda. Looking for someone to approve the
I did have a request, President Sanchez, for the item under county federal impacts. I'm wondering if we can set that as a time certain at 7 p.m. Erica Padilla Chavez is going to be joining us at that time. That's item 8.3.
Okay, 8.3 at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve with the change.
All right. There's no other questions or comments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 4, public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody in the public to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. If the public would like to make a comment, we ask that you please come up to the podium, announce yourself, and we will limit your speaking to 3 minutes. Is there anybody that would like to address the board?
President Sanchez, we do have several submitted public comment requests,
Okay.
starting with Lara Schultz, our Tupe project coordinator.
Well, thank you so much. Like Nick said, my name is Lara Schultz, and I am the Tupe coordinator, which represents tobacco and cannabis prevention and education. And I've met many of you, I'm happy to say, lots of familiar faces. So thank you already for the work that you've done and continue to do. I'm really here today to introduce the high school students that I've been working with. They are Tupe youth leaders, and we are just beginning this work together. Most of them I've worked with for about 6 to 9 months, but they have been committed. Some of them have been Zooming with me, meeting on site, and I just commend them for continuing to do the work they are going to talk about today. They basically have chosen to educate themselves about the impacts of substance use on adolescents. And we really spend most of our time talking about how to create change, whether it's on their campus or in their community. Like I mentioned, we do hold bi-monthly meetings. And in those meetings, we focus on peer-to-peer education and outreach, service learning opportunities, and today, advocacy. So the students you'll meet today, I'm just going to mention a few of the things they've done. They volunteered at the Pinto Lake Back to School barbecue. They've shared substance-free athletics information at sports physical events. They've learned about environmental policies related to tobacco waste and attended a related city council meetings. They've engaged with community partners at PVPSA to learn from the Pajaro Valley Tupe leaders who have been doing this work as high school students for multiple years. And then we've received support from people like Nick Ibarra on the power of public speaking and advocacy work, which is really why they're here today. So I really encourage you to come to one of our meetings if you're interested, because they are exceptional students. And if you're interested in hearing more about their opinions and experiences, I think they'll get a little time to share today, but please join us. And again, thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Next, we have Scarlett Roberto.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Roberto. I'm a sophomore at Cypress High School, and I am a 2P leader as well as being a member of Friday Night Live. These groups are centered around substance use prevention. When I was young, my mom struggled with substance use problems, which led me to having many questions at a very early age. And although I was lucky enough to be brought up in an environment where I had support, there's so many kids, teens, and even adults who don't have support and believe that turning to substances is their only choice. So as a youth, I am looking to you for leadership in finding solutions. I believe a good place to start is that there should be more education for children who have been brought up in these circumstances, where they have a parent in active addiction and are unsure how to cope with that. For right now, in hopes to help this issue, I am working towards going to Del Mar Elementary School to talk to the 5th grade students about this topic by setting up a table at lunch, welcoming them to play games and offer substance use prevention information. In conclusion, addiction doesn't just affect the user, and it is not something to be shameful for, and it is unfair that this topic has been wrapped around so much stigma when in reality, these people are just like me and every other person in this room. So again, I ask you to be on the lookout for educational opportunities for youth at risk and bring these resources to the attention of organizations to help substance abuse. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And next, we have Natalie Stott.
Okay, cool. Good afternoon. My name is Natalie Stott. I'm a high schooler at St. Francis High School, and I'm also a member of the Behavioral Health Advisory Board and a youth leader for TUPE, which is Tobacco and Cannabis Use Prevention Education, where we inform our peers on the effects of tobacco and cannabis use in order to help them make more informed, healthier decisions. What would spark my interest in advocacy was the accessibility of tobacco/cannabis in my middle school, from the sharing of vapes in small groups being very common to the distribution of cannabis products being equivalent to that of like sharing food. And it was almost this way of social connection and this bonding. And this one-time thing or this thing that we did for fun in middle school would turn into experimentation when they hit high school. And to me, I believe that tobacco/cannabis are gateway drugs that encourage the experimentation of these harder drugs, which like these hard drugs, including like stimulants and other substances, including like opioids. And with kids being, and this is because a lot of kids become more comfortable with this idea of trying these new substances, and this can ultimately lead towards addiction. And for me, I've been sober for the past 2 years. I used to do some stimulants when I was in middle school towards my high school years, but I know that's not the case for everybody. Not a lot of kids come to the state of acceptance, especially as when they attempt to quit, they tend to relapse and they lose this sense of hope or motivation. I don't have the answers nor the solutions, but I do believe that as a county, we do need to come together in elevating youth voice and peer initiatives, and that teens are more likely to, that we should have more peer education in schools to cause this ripple effect, as teens are more likely to listen to their peers and their friends other than an older generation or age group. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We have no additional requests for public comment at this time, President Sanchez.
Okay. Anybody online? No? Okay. Great. Now we have the student trustee reports, and we will begin with trustee Guillen Martinez.
Okay. Um, I've been doing a lot this month, so I'll try to stay under 3 minutes or however much time I have. But with having college applications and scholarships to do, since I am a senior, I've been really busy. But one thing that I did this November, was I hosted an event for, it's right there, student listening session at PV High School. And it was with me, PVUSD student trustee, and PVUSD trustee. And it was just for students to voice their concerns, to ask questions to the PVUSD, and to ask me questions, because I also know some of the board policies at PVUSD. And what we went over, they had like safety concerns, what it means to have an SRO on campus, since all the high school, PV High School and Baltimore High School have a SRO on campus now. We barely got one today, an SRO. And I also hosted a pumpkin spice latte event / mental health during lunch at Baltimore High, which we got over 70 people to come, students, during lunch. And it surprised the principal, because we don't have that happen. They hosted some event and they got like 15 people to come. We got over 70 people to come. And we were very busy. We were giving out pumpkin spice lattes to every single person that came inside. It was a lot of people. And also I have compliment boxes going now. Yeah, compliment boxes, just to spread more like just to have more unity and more peace in high schools. Student advocacy group, I'm the leader of it, so we made compliment boxes, and the people who get the compliments get a prize, a gift. One of the gifts is like a North Face backpack, and we also have a North Face puffer we're gonna give. So yeah, that's a student right there. He's putting a compliment, and we barely put them out today, and the boxes are almost already full. But it's pretty good, like pretty good progress.
Who gets the compliments, like students or teachers?
Students.
Students?
Yeah, so it's like student on student compliments. Like that student wrote it for another student, and whoever he wrote it for, if we choose that paper, the student who received the compliment gets the gift. So you're getting a gift for being you. That's what we like based it to. You're getting a gift for being you. And also, I'm hosting another event December 12th. If you could go to the next slide, please. Another event, December 12th, Youth Night Out. It's to show kids and youth what it means to party safe. Because I think at our age, we want to go to parties, but it's also with Tupe, not them specifically, which I do want to talk to them, because I like Tupe a lot. But with Empower Watsonville, PVPSA, I'm the president for one of their groups, Empower Watsonville and Tupe. I'm the president for that group. So we're hosting an event at the youth center where I work. I work with the city Watsonville at the youth center, so we're hosting an event there, and just show students what it is to party safe. We're gonna have a bunch of like activities which you usually see at parties. We're gonna give out information. We're having like Monarch services and the food bank. We'll be giving out food, because it is like the holiday season, so we're gonna be giving out food, and we're doing a lot. And I think that's it. I'm hosting other events, but December 5th, I'm doing a movie night out at Baltimore High. And I'm trying to like reach out to other schools, because I know it's for I'm the county student trustee, but I find it kind of hard to like reach out to other schools. Yeah, which I'm trying to do. I'll probably ask Ferris if he could help me with that soon. Yeah, that's good. And I'm also going to like different middle schools with the student trustee for the PBUSD to elevate their voice because our PBUSD district is like 2/3 elementary and middle school. It's not just the high schools. And I see more like speaking up from the high school students and not so much from the middle school students. And I know a lot of middle schoolers who want to speak up. And I hear at my job, not even like from schools. I feel it's important for their voice to be heard as well. For me.
Thank you. Trustee Amor?
This past month, I've been very focused on schoolwork because finals are coming up and a lot of big assignments are due. That being said, I did attend the Masculine with Vicente, and we were on a panel. It was very, I think, enlightening about the struggles of masculinity and like kind of dealing with your emotions, and the isolation of it. And then I met with Jen Izan Gonzalez about the sort of alternative education department, and we are planning to like for me to go to the different programs and for me to meet them and kind of learn about their program. And also, I really am excited to connect with the students and hear what they have got going on and like what they may want me to bring up here. And then also I am planning to meet with Lauren Fine about the mental health services and stuff that we provide, because that is something I'm very interested in learning more about and also promoting. And then also I'm planning on going to visit to the Hope Forward Crisis Center, just because I am also very interested in that, and I am looking forward to it, like helping our community.
Thank you. Sure.
I was just gonna say like the little win that I had this month. I did apply. I've only applied to one scholarship, but I got the scholarship. They called me like prior. It's the Good Tidings Foundation. I've never heard of them. This is my first time like applying, but it's $10,000. So
That is good.
Congrats. Superintendent Sabah?
Yes, if I'd like to share something that Trustee Moore, he provided us some feedback on our health class, and I hope it's okay that I share this story. So Trustee Moore notified me that he felt that our health class is not aligned to the California Healthy Youth Act, and did not have certain components, especially with regard to sexual health. And we looked into it, and even though the provider assured it was said that they were aligned to California standards, and of course that includes the California Healthy Youth Act, when looking through the curriculum, we determined that in fact was not the case. And so thanks to Trustee Moore, we are actually going to be utilizing a different curriculum that actually Shalak Cabañas, who's here, has helped to develop for our alternative education program, and we're going to be ensuring that the curriculum that we're offering to our students is fully compliant with the law. And so I just want to give that shout out to our trustee for helping us to improve the quality of our programs and make sure that we're providing curriculum that they deserve.
Glad to hear that. Thanks for sharing that. Moving along, we have item 6, the consent agenda. Any questions, comments? Yes, Trustee Larson.
Don't really need to pull the minutes. There were some minor corrections I've given to Veronice under the trustee reports. It's the Nexties event, not the Nestle's event. That's a big difference. And then also BAMEC. And then I believe you attended a dyslexia simulation. So just some minor corrections. So I'd like to move approval with those corrections embedded so they don't have to come back.
Okay, we have a first from Larson, a second from Van Allen. If there are no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
And that was inclusive of the whole consent calendar, just to be clear.
Perfect. Got it. Correspondence. Do we receive any correspondence?
No additional correspondence that weren't included in the packet.
Perfect. Now we are on item 8, reports, discussions, and presentations. And our first one today will be our annual reports of Williams legislation, the status of decile 1 to 3 schools in the Pajaro Valley Unified School District and Santa Cruz City School District. For this one, we have Superintendent Sabah as well as Brian Wall.
Yeah, if you want to say something first, that'd be fine. Yeah, I'll do it. Green button, right? Okay, I can handle it.
Well, it's a pleasure to welcome Brian Wall. As you may know, Brian Wall was the deputy superintendent when I for several years and was part of the County Office of Education. And before that, a longtime teacher and administrator in Santa Cruz City Schools, and of course also was involved in our ROP program. He was really one of my mentors when I came onto the job as the deputy superintendent, and supported me through those early years, and has been a great colleague and friend for since then. He has taken on many special projects, and one of the projects that he has been leading for the last few years has been the Williams visits. And as you know, the Williams visits are the ones where we ensure that our facilities are in a good place, the curriculum is available to students, and that the teachers are properly credentialed in the jobs that they're in the classes that they're teaching. And so I just want to thank Brian for always being ready to step up and help out the County Office of Education, and in this case, helping to make sure that our students have the resources and the programs in place that they deserve. Welcome, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Ferris, and good evening. One of the things that's kind of interesting about this is that, as a little bit of an aside, is that COEs are responsible for this across the state. This was actually a lawsuit that was brought forth by the ACLU many years ago, back about 2000, because a number of schools were failing the kids, as far as facilities and, instructional materials and things like that. The thing that it's something that came full circle is actually a former student of mine, Brooks Allen, was the ACO lawyer that tried the case. And he was my student at Santa Cruz High and ran track for me for 4 years at Santa Cruz High. So it's kind of funny that I'm the Williams coordinator now for Santa Cruz COE. It's kind of cool, actually, in some ways. Anyway, I just want to run through this with you a little bit. Ask me questions as I go if you'd like. This year, they tripled our number of schools because essentially more schools had qualified a couple of years ago, but they kept it even for a while till they could figure out how in the heck they were going to triple our number of schools in each county. Some of the schools, like in LA County, they doubled the number. So there are counties that have 200 to 300 schools that they have to monitor. Really, we're fortunate here is 27. So anyway, just to get started. So we had a number of school districts that got added this year. It wasn't just PV and Santa Cruz, but it was Live Oak, Soquel. We went out all the way to Watsonville Prep. There were a lot of additions this year, and it would have been sooner, but the CDE delayed a little bit to try to figure out how to handle this accelerated pace. So one of the things that we look for when we go to do our visits is that we want to ensure that there's sufficient instructional materials, including textbooks, across core curricular areas. We also want to verify the schools are clean, safe, and in good repair using the facilities inspection tool. I have a partner usually that joins me for the facilities piece from our maintenance department, and it's been a really good pairing. So I do the instructional side, he does the facilities side. We also check teacher assignments because one of the ways that you can end up on the Williams list is that if you have a certain percentage of not properly credentialed teachers. And then we also confirmed that everybody has posted the uniform complaint procedure in English and Spanish in every classroom. So what we found is really our county does a good job. You know, there are glitches here and there, but for the most part, our county really does a nice job. All the schools had sufficient instructional materials this year. Any of the shortages that we saw in the past had been remedied. We go in as a helper. We don't go in as a punitive thing. We don't do an I gotcha thing. Some people, some counties kind of view it differently. We go in and we try to assist to make recommendations that are doable. And actually, we don't leave there as enemies. We leave there as friends. So it's kind of a nice process. And I learned that from my predecessor, kind of, you know, how to go about doing that. Most of the schools have good or exemplary ratings and facilities. There are a few schools that have been neglected, and we made sure we pointed that out. We always have somebody from the maintenance department with us and from the instructional department from each district so that we can pass on that information to them directly. You know, we include it in the report, but we give them a chance to remedy it before we put it in the report. If that hasn't been remedied, then it goes in the report. But for the most part, everybody's really cooperative and takes care of things pretty much right on the spot. And they do a work order immediately. We didn't find any schools that had conditions posing urgent threats to safety. And that's the key for really for the Williams visits, is that there is no ominous threat to students or staff. We do a fit report for every school. This year we did a little bit different. We used a digital system this year. It took a little longer, but it's actually more accurate. So I have to hand it off to really Brian Sluggett, who helped to develop this tool, and a number of other counties are using it now. So we're kind of like cutting edge on that. We also work together. Our HR department here and the districts work together to make sure that people are properly credentialed. There were a couple of schools that had some credentialing issues that got remedied, and that's because we work together to make sure that happens. So we didn't really find any major misassignments. One of the pieces that we do also is we look at the school accountability report cards for every school, and to make sure that the information is reflected accurately there. And we found that everybody had accurately portrayed their information. So I've already kind of covered the fact that everybody kind of came out pretty clean. Most of the facilities were well maintained. What I have to say is that they're all really clean. The custodial staffs at every school really do a dynamite job. Some deferred maintenance happens because, as all of you know, schools are underfunded. So it's pretty hard to fix things right away. But what we found is over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this is that when I go back to a school something that I reported or found the year before has been remedied. So I'm pretty pleased to see that we're all working together on that. And I think that's it. Any questions?
What does follow-up look like, or is there an element to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so every district is supposed to send me a quarterly report. And so I have to ask for a quarterly report from each school district. And in that report, they have to let us know if there's been a Williams complaint, if it was on the facility side, credentialing side, or instructional material side. And for the most part, there aren't any. Every once in a while, there is a complaint, and it has to get resolved. And it starts at the site level first to resolve it. Then it goes to the district level to try to resolve it. And if that doesn't happen, it comes to me, and I do an investigation and make recommendations. And if the complainant isn't satisfied, then it can go all the way to the CDE. Does that answer your question? Oh, okay.
Could I ask a clarifying question too?
Yeah.
Brian, so if you mentioned there were a few school sites that had you found that they're on their fit report that there were some issues.
Yeah.
So what is the process to ensure that those issues that you identified get resolved in a timely?
Oh, sure. Okay, so basically what we do is we do a revisit. So we make contact. with the district mid-year. And then we ask them, have you remedied those things? So I'll get, for instance, in PV, I'll just contact their maintenance department directly and just say, okay, these are the things that we found. Do those things get remedied? If they haven't, then, then we give them another, couple of months to remedy it. And if it hasn't been resolved the next year, then they get dinged for it. That answer your question? Okay.
And you said that generally speaking, they're upon
do
your
it.
revisit, they've been
Yeah, in
addressed.
fact, they kind of like it. I mean, I find it hard to believe. It seems like it'd be painful, but they tell me they like it because it gives them the impetus to do it. Yeah. Anything else?
I'm wondering how you guys like check to make sure that the water fountains are safe for the students to drink from. I personally have realized recently that like the water fountains look kind of sus just on school campuses. So I'm wondering if you guys actually are checking those for safety.
Yeah, our facilities person will, checks those kinds of things. Essentially, we're required to do 25% of the classrooms, and so they do 25% of the facilities. So you won't always get the same, they won't always check the water fountain, for instance, at each school because it's based on the year before. And we recheck to make sure that all those things got done. But it's something that I can bring up actually, because you want a kind of a hygienic drinking fountain, don't you?
Yeah, it seems like almost sort of at some of them they look like eroded or rusty, sort of, especially near the part where the water comes out. So I think it would be important to maybe remember about the water fountains. And
Yeah,
check
definitely,
out.
and that is a safety concern for students, definitely. So I'll mention that. That it would be good to consistently do that at each site. Good idea. Thank you.
Larson?
Another follow-up on the prior questions. So the Career Advancement Charter was one of those schools you visited and had some work orders submitted on the basis of your visit. Will you wait till 6 months for that review, or since that's part of our family, is that?
It's pretty easy to check on that one.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say.
And yeah, things got remedied pretty quickly. In fact, the facilities person that was with me actually remedied 2 things while we were there on the inspection. So that was well taken care of. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Van Allen?
I had 2 questions, although I think one of them was answered. Is there any process by which a student could identify an issue such as the drinking fountains? During the year, is there a way they could, turn in a slip or talk to somebody or something?
Yeah, it's part of the uniform complaint process, actually.
Okay, so I wonder if people realize that the complaint policy could be about.
Yeah, that'd be, and that's fine. It can be student driven, it could be teacher driven. What they need to do is just report it to the office. And then that office should report it to their maintenance department and it should get remedied. If it doesn't get remedied, then it comes to me and I make them remedy it. Yeah.
So maybe more student awareness that they. My second question sort of touches on what Trustee Larson brought up about the
Career Advancement
yeah,
Charter.
about our school.
Yeah.
Keeping data to date, just the election. Sorry. So I noticed that our score was the lowest of all of them, although they were all very high. It was like 89 out of 100, which is still just a good score. But at this point, given what you just answered to Trustee Larson, it would actually score higher if you went back this week. Right?
Oh, it would. And basically, when those 2 repairs got done, it remedied a little bit of that percentage too, just on that very day. One of the things that didn't get fixed because it was going to require a locksmith was there was a door that you couldn't access the gym or the restrooms in there, and that had not been remedied. And I know it has now. Yeah. But that's a significant issue that if a staff member can't get into the gym and there's a problem, right? So we reported it because we just wanted to make sure it got done, and it did.
Just always like to brag about the CAC. So
yeah, so we're all good.
The score.
Yeah.
Guillen Martinez?
Yeah, that was my question. So like when you guys go to like site visits, do you guys ask students like what do you think?
No, we don't, because we don't want to disrupt the instructional process too much. We try to go in, talk to the teacher a little bit, but we don't want to really intrude too much. So what we try to do is we try to be somewhat invisible as we go through. And we always have somebody with us from the district to point out where the textbooks are, where the, if there are any inadequacies, they'll point that out for us and help us with that. But we try not to disrupt things too much. Yeah.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, I want to thank you for the
Sure.
work that you do. Thank you for always looking out for our students, our school sites, and for making them a better place.
Yeah,
for
my pleasure.
everybody.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Next, we have item 8.2, our 2025 CASP and California School Dashboard presentation with Dr. Sabah and Dr. Russell.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Dr. Marsha Russell, our Associate Superintendent in charge of Ed Services. This was actually by request by our county board members who wanted to know exactly what is happening with the accountability system in California. One of the nice things you're going to be seeing, learning more about really three areas: the state assessment that is utilized for measuring the academic progress of students, the dashboard system, which was recently released, and also differentiated assistance, where where certain districts or charter schools are identified for some special attention and support from the County Office of Education. And the person leading that effort is Dr. Russell, and so we're really grateful to have her share some information with you today.
All right, thank you. So not to throw you for a wrench, but we're going to start with the pre-assessment today. Only because as good educators, we should start with a pre-assessment and follow with a post. So first, just think to yourself, you don't have to answer out loud. How are Santa Cruz County students performing on CASP? Another question you might think is, what does CASP stand for? Second question, what does the California School Dashboard measure? And third question, what does differentiated assistance from Santa Cruz County Office of Education look like? And now I'll ask you to rate yourself. No clue, not sure, or do you get a gold star? Okay, excellent. See, that was the hesitancy in sharing it in advance, because you might have the answers, but that's okay. I hope you learned from reading the PowerPoint. And Dr. Sabah, I do hope you have a gold star already. All right, so we're going to share, CASP does stand for the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. It assesses math and English language arts. It's in grades 3 through 8 and 11. So every single year, 3 through 8 and 11 students are taking this assessment. The thing to note about the assessment is it's actually 2-in-1 for both math and ELA. There's a computer adaptive test. So if you get a question right, it's going to give you a harder problem next. If you get a question wrong, it's going to give you an easier problem next. And it's basically going to calibrate. So students don't all take the same number of questions on any particular test. And that's why some students might be able to complete it more quickly than other students. It also has a second assessment that is a performance task. So that usually is a multi-step kind of problem in which students need to start with one example or piece of data, start doing some solving, use that response to solve another. And on both of these, within any given question, you can get partial points. So if you complete the first step of a problem accurately, and then move on to the second step and complete that inaccurately, you can still get points for that first part that you did answer accurately. And then there are varied item types. So gone are the days of Scantron bubble-in sheets or fill-in sheets. The assessment is actually quite interesting, and you can look at sample problems online, but there are things where you need to drag numbers in. You need to actually use a visual calculator sometimes and punch in the numbers you would punch in on a calculator. There's a written response where you move sentences or paragraphs in different orders to rearrange text. So quite a variety of response types. So now we're going to take a look at some of our results on the CASP data this year. So this data source is our data portal that's on our website. And I'm going to just share some few highlights in the limited time that we have today. But we can see first thing across left to right, we have some key student groups from English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, Hispanic or Latino students, English only students, not socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and white students. And you can see the order selected on our particular portal is it's from lowest performance to highest performance by those student groups. One of the things we can see very clearly, this is the data from 2018 to 2025. We still have persistent and significant achievement gaps between our various student groups in our county. This matches performance across the state, but I do want to point out a few things that are significant here. First, on the left-hand side, this is for the English Language Arts CASP assessment. We have English learners. English learners of our key student groups are the lowest performing student group, with 7% of our English learners in 2025 meeting or exceeding standard in English language arts. Now, that may be expected, they're English learners. When we move up to the other student groups, we have, for example, white students at the far right are actually 64% are meeting or exceeding standards. So you can see there is significant disparities across our student groups. And you can also see those three student groups on the right, English only, non-socioeconomically disadvantaged, and white students are performing at the higher end of the scale, and the other three student groups are performing at the lower end with significant disparities. We have a lot of work to do to reduce achievement disparities across our student groups. Even among our highest performing students, only 64%, just over half, are actually meeting or exceeding standard. So we're looking at many students who are still not meeting or exceeding standard. So in English language arts, our performance is comparable with the state performance. It follows this same pattern and roughly these same percentages of students meeting or exceeding standard. In math, you can see some similarities in the same student groups in the same order in terms of disparities in the percentage meeting or exceeding standard on the CASP math assessment. We have 6% of English learners meeting or exceeding standard in mathematics, all the way up to the white students at 53%. Now, again, that's still saying even amongst the highest achieving student group, we only have half of our students meeting or exceeding standard. So still quite a bit to do. Yes.
It also seems apparent in both those math and ELA that we haven't recovered from the pandemic yet, right? That's what those dips are, right?
There's a couple of points I want to make about that in just a moment. You're absolutely right, and that's a good thing to see. So one of the things we can see is actually in ELA, in those three student groups on the right, we're actually very close to pre-pandemic levels. We're within 1 to 2 percentage points of pre-pandemic levels. Math, we are not yet at pre-pandemic levels. We are more like 4 to 5 percentage points below the pre-pandemic levels. As a county, our math performance continues to remain below the state performance on average. And so we do have fewer students meeting or exceeding standard in all student groups as a county compared to the state. We are seeing some improvement though. And one of the things I want to point out is if you look at these lines, they follow this sort of wave pattern of coming down and then, to your point, back up, just not quite fully to pre-pandemic levels. One of the things I'd like you to take note of that's really important, especially on the math. On the ELA, every single student group followed this wave pattern where it comes back up in the last couple of years. In mathematics, you can see there's one student group that does not follow that wave pattern. They have the wave come down and then it's flat. And that is our English learners in mathematics. And so this is a student group that we have persistently needed to provide additional support to. And the one thing is, it is about the same as it has been, but we are starting to see small gains. They're just smaller than what you can see from those higher performing student groups. So again, higher need and more that we need to do to address the needs of English learners in mathematics, but also in ELA. So that is a really important point. And although we're getting close in some student groups to pre-pandemic levels, we're still further behind in other student groups. So the CASP data actually feeds into the California School Dashboard along with a lot of other data. So I'm going to share with you a few of the metrics that are measured on the California School Dashboard. The California School Dashboard reports both performance and progress. So what you saw on the CASP was the percentage of students meeting or exceeding standard. That was their performance. The progress you saw was the overtime progress. The dashboard actually provides a color-coded rating based on not only students' performance, but their progress from the prior year. And so that's how they get a color-coded rating. So a few key areas that are highlighted on the California School Dashboard. First, there's academics. So we have the math and the ELA CASP assessments, the ones we just looked at. We also have the English Learner Progress Indicator. That is the students who are English learners who are taking the LPAC exam, and it's measuring their progress in learning English over the years until they're reclassified as English proficient. And then there's the college and career readiness. That particular indicator on the dashboard is a compilation of 17 different metrics, including things like a CTE pathway completion, A to G completion. A wide variety of metrics go into college and career readiness. And then in the category of engagement, that's looking at how engaged students are in school. That includes chronic absenteeism, so that's students who are missing 10% of the school year or more. And it also includes graduation rate. So those are both metrics of student engagement. And then there's a final metric of conditions and climate, and that is suspension rate.
And on that, if I may.
Sure.
So conditions and climate is a big concept. Suspension rate is one smaller metric.
Mm-hmm.
Will that progress to be more inclusive somehow?
There's a few other items on the dashboard that are part of conditions and climate that don't get a color-coded rating, and those fall under the local indicators. So every school is required, and every district is required to issue a school climate survey, and they're required to report on that survey data. So that is a part of conditions and climate. It gets reported, but it's not a color-coded rating. This is the only item that currently is an actual color-coded rating.
If I could add to that, looking it up, so that includes parent and family engagement, access to a broad course of study, and suspension rates.
Mm-hmm. And so all of those other things, the parent engagement and the broad course of study, that is, are you providing all of the courses across all of the schools, for example? So do students have access? And all of that is reported in the local portions of the dashboard, so they don't get a color rating. Great questions. So this color-coded rating you see looks like a speedometer here. You have colors ranging from red to orange to yellow to green to blue. This is our state of California data. So you, at a quick glance, can get a visual on how we're doing. Chronic absenteeism is yellow. Suspension rate is green. English learner progress is yellow. Graduation rate is green, college career readiness is green, English language arts is yellow, and mathematics is yellow. So this gives you a quick color-coded rating just to see. You can dive much deeper into the dashboard and get to look at some real specifics. An additional new item that is on the dashboard with a color-coded rating for the first time this school year is the CAST assessment. That's the California Assessment of Science. And that assessment, I can say in California, notice they say it's just informational purposes. They do give it a color-coded rating, which is both how students performed this year and how much better or worse they performed than last year. And it does say informational purposes only because this will not count for accountability purposes in terms of differentiated assistance qualification. It's possible the state board will take that back up next year. One thing I can share is that yellow is the rating in the state of California. And in Santa Cruz County, virtually every single district scored in the green. So we're actually doing quite well in science compared to other places. So that's great. I do want to share a little bit of data here, and this is looking at our region. We're part of what's called Region 5, and so that includes our contiguous counties of Santa Cruz County, Santa Clara, San Benito, and Monterey counties. One of the things we look at it overall is across all of those metrics I just shared, how many reds do we have? How many greens do we have? How many yellows? How many oranges and blues? And so what we can see here is if you're looking across, these are our combined 4 counties. Ideally, what you would want to see from the first year, 2023 to 2025, is ideally would want to see those red and orange categories coming down, because that would mean more students are going into the other categories, and you would want to see those higher colors moving up. You do see roughly that pattern here, so that's good news. This is by individual county. And so you can see that same metric, and you can see some variation. We can also note that in our 4-county area, the 2 counties that are most similar are Santa Cruz and Monterey County. We have overall similar performance. Santa Clara is obviously a county 5 times larger than us with much different student population, and San Benito is a much smaller county. So you can see in Santa Cruz County, we have that red coming significantly down, which is good. We have the orange moving up, which is hopefully some red moving up. And we'd like to see more in terms of the blues and having more of the blues moving up. So a goal would be sort of to shift some of those greens and yellows to the right. So now we'll move on to, we have the CAS data. The CAS data, along with all of those other metrics I mentioned, feed into the California School Dashboard. From the California School Dashboard, we then get determinations for differentiated assistance. Differentiated assistance is an additional, and I bolded, collaborative support, because it really is not about punitive accountability. This really is about genuinely collaborating with LEAs to support them, and that now includes charter schools, so districts and charters, to help them with any student group who's performing in the red in 2 or more priority areas on the dashboard. And that's what this can look like. So I showed you earlier, there's several metrics that go into the category of academics. There's several metrics that go into the category of engagement. And there's one metric that goes into the category of climate. And so what that means is you have to have a single student group in which that student group is performing in the red in 2 of those 3 categories. So you could have a student group performing all red in academics, but if they're not red in engagement and climate, then you're not going to qualify for differentiated assistance. Doesn't mean we're not necessarily still offering support, but that does make a difference. So this is an example of what that could look like. If we took homeless students, for example, that's one of the designated student groups, and they were red in English language arts and red in math. It only takes one of those, plus another category, in this case, suspensions, red, then they would qualify for differentiated assistance. Now, here's what differentiated assistance can look like and some updates for this year. Differentiated assistance is something that we've been providing for several years. This year, there's a new category of differentiated assistance. If an LEA, so a district or charter, qualifies for differentiated assistance more than 3 years, so 3+ years, they are eligible for additional differentiated assistance from what's called the geographic lead. So we're in Region 5, which is a broader mid-state region, and Tulare County Office of Education is our broader mid-state lead. So they would then qualify to be the differentiated assistance provider for any district that qualified 3 or more years. Again, this is designed to be a collaborative process and not one in which another county office comes in and says, we're here to take over. So this also is a very collaborative process. We hold a consultative meeting between Tulare County Office of Education, the district that's qualifying, and us, and we have a conversation about what we have been doing to provide differentiated assistance support, and do we want to continue on this same course, or do we want to perhaps shift and have Tulare take the lead? We would still be involved in that collaborative effort. We can anticipate in our case that, and it has happened in the past with other forms of differentiated assistance, that our LEAs have typically wanted to remain with us with just additional suggestions and support and technical assistance from the other organization.
And I'm sorry, on this slide, is it with the same student population or the same metrics, or is it just any way you got into red? If it's
Any
3
way you
years
got
in a
into
way.
red, that's right. That's a good question. Long-term English learners, a new difference this year, we had a large number of LEAs statewide that qualified last year for long-term English learners because that was a new separate student group. And one of the things people found that was a little bit of a double whammy on long-term English learners is that long-term English learners counted as their own color student group on the dashboard, but they also are counted in the English learner student group. And so it sort of made it so you could actually qualify in 2 ways, right, for the same data. So they've changed that this year. So now the English, long-term English learners, their CASP data will only be counted as part of the English learner group. And what would qualify a long-term English learner group explicitly from the academic area for differentiated assistance is they're red or orange on English learner progress. So we have students that are going to be long-term English learners. That's something that is to be expected. And that means that they can be taking 6 or 7 or more years to be English fluent proficient. And so in this case, what we're wanting to see is that even if they're long-term English learners, they are making progress in their English language development on the LPAC. And so that would be the goal to qualify, to keep long-term English learners from qualifying. So the process. The process is, and I will say the process was sped up this year, which is actually a good thing. So as the dashboard has been coming out a little bit earlier every year, then all of these things have come together. We used to not get notified on differentiated assistance until December or January. And so the process didn't really get started until January, February. So now we actually had the dashboard come out. On the 13th, we got notice within 2 days of who qualified for differentiated assistance. The CAFS data was made public in October. So much tighter timeline than we've had in the past, which is very helpful. So we notify the district or charter if they've qualified. We work with them to form a team from the COE as well as a team from the district or charter. We analyze their data with them. We help them identify the areas of need specific to the student groups. We then do some root cause analysis to try and identify what might have caused this need. And then we do some research-based action planning. That's in a broad process. These are examples of some of the kinds of activities that we might do. Data visualization, which our data team is incredibly helpful with here at the COE, strategic planning, lots of professional development. We have been doing classroom equity walks in multiple districts and charters. We are working on coaching principals. Our team is actually coaching every single principal in Pajaro Valley Unified School District as part of their differentiated assistance this year, which is excellent. And we also have started providing proactive support for LEAs or who may be about to qualify. So we did an example with an LEA last year where we noticed that their students with disabilities had a high percentage of students who were suspended. So we reached out to the district, let them know that with this increase in suspensions for students with disabilities, they were very close to qualifying. They researched it. They actually explained part of the situation was unavoidable. They had a very large situation in which it was a mandated suspension based on the fight amongst a large number of students. They were required to suspend, but they still then took action to make sure that they were doing additional things in their district to ensure that they were supporting students, and they avoided differentiated assistance as a result. So we'll do a lot of more proactive training and support for that. These are just some examples of pictures of what it can look like. Lots of analyzing data and lots of professional development. What you don't see here is it's lots of huddles and one-on-one and small group with the differentiated assistance team, really analyzing the data and poring over our plans. Yes. Part of the work we've actually been incorporating in our differentiated assistance for the last year and a half all of the teams at the COE so that we're doing a much more strategic and integrated approach. So the New Teacher Project and our equity team has been doing the anti-bias, anti-racist professional development and work in districts and charters around our county. And that's using Zaretta Hammond's culturally responsive teaching in the brain. It involves professional development with school leaders, with district leaders, and with teachers. And that it involves actually identifying student groups, specific students based on the data, to go into classrooms with teachers, with leaders, and observing what does classroom instruction, what's the classroom experience look like for those students. So are students speaking often? Are they getting the opportunity to turn and talk? And so you actually identify students. Everybody is following some students based on the data needs, and then you're observing what kind of experience they have across classes. So at the secondary level, it's as they move from class to class, and it's fascinating because you see that students sometimes have different experiences in different classes, and then we look at applying that to back into the teaching. What kinds of teaching moves can we as teachers make to try and improve and engage students in the instructional experience more? All right, so a couple of shifts in differentiated assistance qualification. The big hurrah and great news is our team has done an extensive amount of work to increase the amount of support that we've been providing for differentiated assistance, including incorporating the other departments and divisions within the COE. So we went from 9 LEAs in our county qualifying to 5. And you can see it's the great news is we have these remaining LEAs qualifying: California Online Public Schools, Monterey Bay Charter, Career Advancement Charter, Live Oak School District, Pajaro Valley, and San Lorenzo, all of whom knew in advance that they would qualify because we were working with them with their data. And then very importantly, exiting. Alianza Charter and Ceiba Charter have done extensive work to be able to improve their outcomes. Santa Cruz City High School District and Santa Cruz COE Alt Ed are all exiting differentiated assistance. So that is great news. Yeah, we're very excited. Okay, so we're on to the post-assessment. So how are Santa Cruz County students performing on the CASP? Think to yourself, what does the California School Dashboard measure? And what does differentiated assistance from Santa Cruz COE look like? Okay, I'm hoping every single person will give me no Ferris, no. That they all have earned a gold star. Have you all earned a gold star, please? Okay, excellent. I actually had ordered some gold stars for you, but they didn't arrive. So I'll get those to you. So congratulations. Any other questions? Yes.
I would say that with English language learners, I guess I have like sort of a comment/question. The way I've like kind of interpreted the like their scores and doing poorly is us prioritizing them learning English over their education. I am wondering if it would be possible for us to provide some bilingual services. That way we do prioritize their education as well, because I think we're doing them a disservice by like more focusing on them learning English than actually helping them succeed with learning the like math and that kind of stuff.
So that's a great point. The piece I was mentioning earlier with the steps of differentiated assistance, when you look at this step right here, root cause analysis, that's actually something that we've done with some LEAs that qualified for differentiated assistance for their English learner group. And it's really important to the CAPS data is one measure, but then it's really important as a next step is to analyze additional data. And as an example, I think that can certainly be a benefit for students, and we need to look at our practices. One example we found was we had an LEA that was qualifying for differentiated assistance for English learners. And when we examined their performance, what we found is this particular school was actually a dual immersion school, a dual immersion Spanish-English school. And when we analyzed their data and looked much more closely at both their local assessments as well as their CAST data, we found that it was certain grade levels that were having more difficulty than others. So third grade, the first year where students are taking the CASP assessment, was actually extremely weak. And when you got to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, it was actually much more improved. In that particular case, it was a very unique situation of a dual immersion school in which over the course of the grade levels, they actually increased the amount they're teaching in Spanish and decrease the amount in English until eventually they get to 50-50. What that means is if you're in third grade and you're at the point where we are teaching, for example, by third grade in that school, it was 80% in Spanish, and they have not yet by third grade been doing much English, then the students on the ELA portion of the assessment actually performed quite poorly. That was a very unique situation to the design of that school's dual immersion program. And so that's why it's really critical to actually analyze the specific data down to the site level. And when you're at the site level, you can even go down to the student level to see, is it that? Have we been prioritizing teaching the English as opposed to the rest of it? Or is there something else unique to the program that we need to be aware of or adjust? So I agree. I think that's exactly what we need to be doing is we need to be looking at that data, gathering more data, and then trying to find out, okay, what is the reason? Is it that we need to have more bilingual?
Would it be possible to do that regardless of if they qualify for that differentiated like assistant? Because I think overall, even if they don't qualify necessarily for that this is a problem like with all the schools pretty much, and it doesn't necessarily have to include like the other parts. Like I think this could be something that could be like looked at throughout the whole district instead of just for those schools.
You're on the same page. So the LCAP, which districts are creating, the LCAP actually includes that whole process. And the LCAP is before you qualify for differentiated assistance. It's your strategic plan. The LCAP actually does expect and include, and we provide training and support on that, on analyzing your data. Same thing, trying to find the root cause analysis. And then more importantly, including in your strategic plan, which is your LCAP, what are the steps we're going to do to make improvement? So you're right on the exact right page. Thank you.
Are we doing that analysis and are we implementing those things? Because I know this is like a sort of theoretical of like the steps that we are supposed to do, but it seems like a lot of, oh, we say we're going to do it, but maybe it won't actually get done.
So every district and every charter school creates their own LCAP. That's their strategic plan. We don't create it for them, but we are extremely heavily actively involved. I can assure you, we just had a training last week where we had districts from across the county come together, including both the fiscal team and the educational services team. So this is an extensive process that we have a whole team dedicated to here to doing that. So I can assure you, we're definitely doing it. And we'd actually, it's during the school day, but we'd invite you to come to our trainings.
Yes, that's Larson.
2 comments and 1 question. I'm not sure it's for Leanne, you, or Dr. Sabah. Thank you. This, as a newbie to all of this is really helpful. So thank you for the clear, concise presentation. Second comment was just having spent most of my career in government, to have data turn around this quickly and to be actionable is amazing. The 2025 data becoming actionable is just, that's really impressive. So great. And then the question is, all this differentiated assistance, whether it's for 5 districts, 10 districts, or 25 districts, is that just part of our base funding? Or is there differential funding that comes for increased differential assistance? How does that work?
There's a whole separate set of funding, and the current formula is about to change, but the formula traditionally has been we get a base set of funding for differentiated assistance, and then based on the number of LEAs that qualify and the size of those LEAs, we get a different amount per year. They are looking at changing that because that model actually hinders small counties like ours. And so they're looking at changing the model to make a more equitable funding formula that will actually potentially increase our DA funds by about 25%. So that we can provide, and the goal would be to shift to providing more proactive in advance, similar to what Trustee Moore was talking about, that proactive in advance support, so that we're not actually doing this after the fact in differentiated assistance. Yes. Trustee Roth.
Roth?
Is there a time limit at how long you can be differentiated or receive differentiated?
That's a great point. So school districts, when they qualify, they automatically qualify for 2 years. And that's so that we can have enough time to provide enough support to have lasting change, as opposed to they leave DA, then they come back in. They leave, they come back in. Charter schools are eligible for 1 year because they're newer, but they're likely going to end up qualifying for 2 years in the future. And then you will continue as long as, and this partially meets a federal accountability requirement, you can remain in differentiated assistance, but there's different levels. There's this new second tier that is the GEO lead differentiated assistance. So 3 or more years, you can qualify for this additional support from the regional county office. Then there is a qualification. If you have 3 or more student groups, 3 out of the last 4 years qualifying in the red, so that's multiple student groups, multiple years in a row, then you actually qualify for support from a completely different organization. It's an organization separate from CDE called the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. We actually do collaborate with them with one of our districts. So we have Pajaro Valley has qualified for direct technical assistance. And what that means is, in this case, we collaborate with the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence with Pajaro Valley. And in this case, the collaborative has not come in and sort of taken over the DA process, but they are consultants to us. And so they've provided us with tools, resources, professional development, leadership development, and they're available to us to support the efforts that we're doing. And I think a big piece of that was helpful in us being able to do the much more intensive work in coaching site leaders at the district level. And we've been working very collaboratively with the district on our differentiated assistance now. And they are seeing improvement. So they actually no longer qualify for that higher level. There is a federal influence as well. So the California School Dashboard, the Local Control Accountability Plan that every district makes, and the differentiated assistance qualifiers all partially meet federal requirements for accountability under ESSA.
So for that next level, the California collaboration, how is that funded? Are they funded on their own? How does that work?
They're funded on their own, and they were created by Governor Newsom several years ago to be an entity that is fully separate from CDE. And that was so that we could have basically an outside view. They are very accomplished leaders in the field of education. The person that was our consultant with CCEE was actually the former Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction. So they're extremely high caliber team that they have. They have a whole separate funding stream separate from CDE. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Great. If not, thank you for the report. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay. So we're going to move item 8.3, as previously discussed, to 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter. So now we will move on to item 9.1. I hereby declare open the public hearing regarding the appointment of Murray Scheckman as Board-Appointed Personnel Commissioner. The board is here to listen at this time and will not be asking or answering questions from the presenter until later in our meeting today. Staff will make their opening presentation to the board regarding the Board-Appointed Personnel Commissioner, and the public comment and input will be received by the board from individuals wishing to speak. Each individual will be limited to 2 minutes. The public hearing will then be closed. Dr. Farah Sabah, our County Superintendent of Schools, you may now make your opening presentation to the board regarding the Board-Appointed Personnel Commissioner.
Yes, it's my pleasure to welcome. Yeah, okay. Mr. I was like Troy Cope. I thought you were gave me a look like you were surprised, Troy. So I was like, wait, am I do the right thing? All right. Our Chief Human Resources Officer, who is going to be talking to us a little bit about this process and why the Personnel Commission plays such an important role in supporting the work of our County House of Education as a merit district. And so I'd like to welcome Troy Cope, our Chief Human Resources Officer.
Thank you. Good evening. The Personnel Commission is a small governing board that oversees all things classified for our employees, from hiring to salary studies to creating new job descriptions. And it is very important to our relationship with the employees and the classified bargaining unit. In the October 16th meeting, you announced the intended appointee. The next step per Ed Code is in the following meeting to have the public hearing. So to receive any sort of a comment or input prior to making the appointment. Before that occurs, I really just wanted to take this opportunity to thank each trustee for supporting the Personnel Commission and our classified employees. This has been a rather challenging time for us with Larry Lane's sudden departure, and we're still reeling from that. But for you to find Murray Scheckman, who has extensive educational background and experience in merit districts, is it's rather amazing that we found somebody. I also wanted to thank you just for adopting the resolution honoring Commissioner Lane. Dr. Sabah was able to present that to his wife at his celebration of life. And so just a heartfelt thank you to all of you. And with that, we could do the public hearing.
Okay. We will now invite members of the public who are present or have requested online to speak. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak about the petition for material revision? You have 2 minutes.
Hi, board. My name is Shalak Kavanis. I'm not here representing anyone other than myself. I highly support and think it's a wonderful fit. I've been able to sit on a few of the Personnel Board Commission meetings. Murray Scheckman, Dr. Murray, is an amazing pillar of our community. He's served in so many different facets of supporting our students in this community. And I don't think there could be a more excellent choice in this community of someone who knows it so well and has been so dedicated to our students. So thank you very much for considering his appointment.
Okay. Anyone else in the public that would like to speak? All right.
Not at this time.
So we will now move on to trustee questions and comments. Do any trustee or student trustees have questions or clarifications? All right. Seeing none, I hereby declare the public hearing regarding the appointment of Murray Scheckman as Board Appointed Personnel Commissioner by the Santa Cruz County Office of Education closed. The County Board of Education will consider the appointment of Murray Scheckman as a Board Appointed Personnel Commission at the next item on our agenda, item 10.1. So with that, we'll transition to new business in action. 10.1, appointment of Murray Scheckman as Board Appointed Personnel Commissioner. Yes, Van Allen?
We'd like to move that the board appoint Murray Scheckman as the board appointed personnel commissioner.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? If there are none, then maybe a roll call. Okay, all those in favor say
Mr.
aye.
President, I would just say it didn't seem necessary to say much, given who we're talking about.
Okay,
I was reading.
agreed. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Perfect, passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Scheckman. Okay, so now we are going to item 8.3, item on county federal impacts. And for this one, we have Dr. Sabah, as well as Chief Executive Officer of the Food Bank, Erika Padilla Chavez.
Thank you so much, President Sanchez. I wanted to start before giving an opportunity for Erika Padilla Chavez to speak to you. And it's really wonderful to have her in the room as somebody who's really doing so much on behalf of our community. I wanted to give you a brief update as to some of the different actions that the federal administration has been taking that has been detrimental to our community. And you've seen this presentation before. I've shared some aspects of it. And of course, if you want more detail, you'd be able to look at the details on the, oops, hate this here, because. So looking at some of those updates, as of course you know, the government shutdown did end recently. However, the disruptive results of that shutdown continue to persist, impacting our community. Included in those impacts is, of course, disruptions to the Head Start program, which we've spoken about, nutrition services to our community, housing, and other kinds of services that are going to take some time to be able to get back online. In addition, we've talked in the past about the discussions about discretionary funding and discretionary spending. Congress is beginning the process to talk about the budget for next year. That includes educational funding. The White House is proposing some major cuts, where the Senate is looking to maintain those services as we've had in the past. And so we're anticipating these discussions to be taking place in the next few weeks. They have been working to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education, which we anticipate to have an effect of, they are the ones that put together the allocations for educational funding, as well as overseeing the Office of Civil Rights, where many cases have already been dismissed outright, including we anticipate delays in FAFSA processes, which is financial aid for higher education. And they're parsing out different responsibilities to other agencies that have never worked with these programs. And so this is something that is going to take quite some time, we anticipate, to be able to be functioning effectively. We've talked in the past about some court decisions and also the Health and Human Services effort to deny services to our undocumented community. The major impacts of HR 1, especially on healthcare, on nutrition services, and other important safety nets. And a new component we've added to our analysis is the impacts on our LGBTQIA+ community, which include limiting healthcare, limiting access to services for members of the queer community in the military and veterans, and also limiting access to gender-affirming care. And so all of these components are limiting the safety net systems that are in place. And this is an image that comes from the county's core initiative. They talk about the different social determinants of health, things like stable and affordable housing and shelter, safety and justice, healthy environments, economic security and mobility, lifelong learning and education, and health and wellness. All the different components, and we could add more to these, but all these different important fundamental institutional components that are really the foundations for having thriving, healthy families. And what we're seeing is a variety of different efforts to undermine these safety nets for our community, everything from reducing access to housing and homelessness assistance, of course, ICE raids and militarized enforcement, reviving public charge, attacking LGBTQIA communities, deregulation of environmental and FDA regulations, compromising and undermining vaccine protocols, cuts and conditions to healthcare, reducing access to mental health and gender-affirming care, dismantling the Department of Education, reducing access to higher education funding and services, and reducing cash assistance for those most in need. And of course, the most impacted folks are the vulnerable members of our community who need those services. Now, we are really fortunate to have an organization in our community that has historically and consistently been foundational in supporting and advocating for one of the most important aspects of the safety net system, which is food and addressing food insecurity. And we are really fortunate to have Erika Padilla Chavez, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Second Harvest Food Bank, leading this organization at this time. The Second Harvest Food Bank has been working hard, as they always have, to provide amazing services to our community. And I might be taking a little bit of Erica's, her message to you tonight, but they serve over a third of our community every month with food, and that number has been increasing significantly with the uncertainty and instability and fear that has existed in our community. And I was fortunate to be a part of their campaign over the last couple of years and learned a lot about and heard so many of the stories, stories of families that are needing to, they working in our community or commuting long distances and needing that extra support to ensure that their family has access to healthy food on a daily basis. And I can't think of anything more important. When I think about education, I think about the classroom, I think about what students need to be able to have to have that reassurance of knowing that they are cared for, that they have the nutrition that they deserve, that their families have that those healthy meals and being able to participate actively in their schooling. And when I think about the whole family and how important Second Harvest, what they represent to our community, it's been something that I'm so grateful to the leadership of Erica and this organization. Now, because of the great need that we recognized was occurring, the County Office of Education has contracted with Second Harvest Food Bank to support their school-based food distribution system. And it really is a system. It's a very serious operation. If you haven't been to their facilities or maybe volunteered helping to prepare the food, that system is a mechanized, amazing, wonderful resource that generates huge amounts of food for our community. And so we have contracted with them for which is unprecedented, $250,000 to support their effort to be able to ensure that those food distributions, school-based food distributions for our school community are taking place. And the county has also participated in a contract for another $500,000. The Santa Cruz County Foundation is also participating, as well as city governments are also providing support, really to reinforce this organization, which has already taken cuts from their federal funding, and to ensure that they can continue to provide that support to families as we enter this uncertain time. And so I'd like to welcome Erika Padilla Chavez, who is a good friend and an inspiring leader in our community, and thank her for being here and joining us and talking to us a little bit about the work that's taken place.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sabah, members of the board, student trustees. It's a pleasure to be here. I just left the fairgrounds. We were holding a mass distribution of food that started at 3:30. We started early because we had traffic all the way backed up to Highway 1 and up into Mount Madonna. We prepared food for what we thought would be the COVID-like demand, and we surpassed that today. We ran out of food. Thankfully, through a partnership with Safeway, we were able to start issuing gift cards. And while SNAP benefits have been restored, what I shared with KSBW, who was amazed, it took them over an hour to get there because of the traffic jam in town. This is a sign of what Dr. Sabah just highlighted is happening to the safety net of those who depend on these additional supports like food and like healthcare and like so many other areas. I would be remiss to not share with you that as I was talking, I was helping register people so that they could proceed to pick up their food. And I had an opportunity to talk to some people, namely because they saw me and they're like, "Oh, I just saw you on TV." And that allowed me to really ask, How long have you been standing in the line, right, in your car? Over an hour. Is this really that important to you? It's how I'm going to eat next week, right? Yes, I got my SNAP benefits back, but I don't know that I want to keep them. And I looked at the lady. It's for my daughter. I can't get it. What she was telling me is, I'm undocumented. My daughter gets the benefits. I want nothing to do with this program because I'm scared. She didn't say it that way, but I could infer it just based on the conversation I was having. The impacts that HR 1 and that all of the federal decisions that are happening right now really trickle down to the most needies of our family. This is a almost war against the poor. That's what we're living through. And when I think about education and I think about who makes up the student community in our schools, many of them represent these households. Then I think about these students and the stressors that they're coming to the classroom with, and food is likely one of them. So it's why it's so important for Second Harvest to be in partnership with institutions like yours, to be in partnership with institutions like the county and the cities, which we haven't historically necessarily needed in the way that we need now. I want to provide just a couple of very important facts for you to take away. I used to be, before coming to nonprofit, I used to be an administrator in the health department in a county. So certainly understand county systems and county funding. When before Second Harvest, I was administrating another nonprofit. And most nonprofits, their financial makeup is about 70% contracts and government support, 30% philanthropic. Your food bank is the reverse of that. 70% philanthropic and a very small sliver is dependent on government, right? Which in the current environment, that's a great thing, except for the fact that I'm already raising millions to pay for all my staff, to pay for the truckers that deliver the food, to pay for the fuel, to pay for the trucking maintenance, to pay for the lights, to pay for the electricity, to pay for the salaries. I'm fundraising to do that. And so for every million that I am hit by government, every million cut in government, I'm just slapping on another million to my annual philanthropic cost. So if my goal is already raising 10 million a year, I'm going to have to raise 11 million, 12 million, 13 million. When is it going to stop? Right? And this is true of most food banks across the country, by the way. This is foundational to how food banks function. Food banks are the vessel for community engagement, which is why you see me a lot on TV, why you hear from me on the radio. It is foundational in the way we are shaped. Can we change that? Maybe, but maybe we don't want to right now, right? Maybe the right thing is to depend on our community to help us nourish the most basic of fundamental human need, nourishment. And I'll just say to you that I think that working in partnership with you all is how we're going to take care of our kids who are already dealing with so much, all the things that Ferris just highlighted. And let's make food not be a stressor. Can we just focus on that? Alleviate that from the reality of what many of our children in this county are actually going to bed thinking about? Will I have enough to eat tomorrow? Right? So I'm forever grateful to the leadership of Dr. Sabah, the superintendents of across the county who I've been working with very closely. Dr. Sabah was able to bring me in to have a conversation with the superintendents, and we have coordinated mass distributions of food at many school sites. We will continue to do that for the remainder of the school year, because I think the indication of the over 3,000 households we fed today, and they're still doing it right now via gift cards, is a sign of what we're about to see for the incoming year. There's going to be a lot of need, and we're going to have to work together. But that's a silver lining. I think that what the food bank does with the partnership with you is that we demonstrate how we can get it done, right? No ands, if, or buts. We don't have to overthink it. We don't have to create bureaucracy for it. We just get it done. We get it done. We take care of people, and we do it every day, every year, every month. And unfortunately, I think that 70,000, we're going to start to see it inch closer to 100,000, which I actually think that's what we did in the last few weeks. We've probably hit 100,000 people already. But I'm happy to entertain any questions. Again, I want to thank you. It's really, really, it's really heartening for me in the midst of what has been a very whiplashing experience to know that there's a community there standing with the food bank to take care of business, and that is feeding our community. But I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Questions, comments from any on the board?
Just a comment.
Williams?
Thank you first for your presentation, the information that you provided, and for the work that you and all of your staff do. I think we all know someone that has struggled. I personally have a son who's in the military, and during the SNAP benefits and not being paid, they were in those food lines, and it's heartbreaking. These are people who work really hard. And I think there's a misconception out there for a lot of people that are online is because they're not working, because they're not doing their part, and that's absolutely untrue. So I'm really moved by the work that you guys do. I've been a supporter of Second Harvest Food Bank for over 25 years, from working with a large organization to run their programs for their annual holiday food drive. And the question I have is it still more preferable for monetary donations because you guys have a better buying power in supporting our community?
Yeah. Wow. Maybe a month ago, I would have said automatic yes. But here's the reality, right? And we actually, the last few weeks, have been asking the community to step up with shelf-stable food. So let me just provide, sometimes we don't think about food systems and how they work. And I get pretty fascinated when I start to learn things, and I like to share what I learned because I think it makes us better in terms of preparing for the future. Imagine all the food banks across the nation having to immediately source food from the same vendors that we all source food from. Imagine all of us using the same trucking companies to try to get that food to our warehouse all at the same time. The system was not able to respond fast enough for us to get the food into our warehouses. And there's 200 food banks across the nation. Not because there isn't enough food, but because we're not designed to all of us have to become all of a sudden the only source of nourishment for communities across America. And the volumes of food that we were ordering was creating havoc on the transportation system because there was only so many trucks that could get on the road to get to the warehouses, right? So what we started doing, realizing, oh my gosh, our food dome really gets here in 2 weeks. Now it's looking like it's going to be a month. We had the money, but now we were dealing with new barriers. So we pivoted and said, we need shelf-stable food from the community, right? Because I have to feed people tomorrow. I can't wait a month and tell people to wait a month for the food to arrive. So new things that we did not realize we were going to be dealing with, but this is what a shutdown of SNAP benefits did to the food sourcing system that food banks tend to depend on. So what I'm saying is that, Rachel, we have invited our community to continue to supporting us with food. At the same time, it is more efficient and effective to receive financial donations. Because think about it, that can of food that you donate, I have to have a staff member inspect it. I have to have a staff member enter it into our system, shelf it. And by the time that can has gone through that entire process, I have spent a lot of money having that be processed and recorded. So from an efficiency perspective, not the most efficient way. But we just happened to be in a situation where we needed literal food to be coming into our warehouse. So we're inviting the community to support in any way that moves them, because I suspect, like I am seeing today, that we're going to be in this vast area of need for food for a while. So I hope that helps. Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't share that the food bank We are the bank that sources and banks the food. And we have distribution sites that our staff manages, but we have a whole network of agencies that we contract with to really help us get the food out. We opened up a pantry at the hospital, for example, at Watsonville Community Hospital. That's a distribution point. We have pantries at some schools. Those are distribution points. We deal with a lot of churches and a lot of other schools and Cabrillo College and UC Santa Cruz, and the list goes on and on. There is beauty in the collective way in which we nourish our community. It's true collective action, right? It's true collective structures that have been functioning for 53 years in our county, and it works. So I want to just acknowledge that there are other organizations that are pulling their weight to also make sure that the food that we're busy sourcing and asking you to support us with, we get it to them, and then they source their volunteers to help us get the food out. So I want to also acknowledge that there's a whole network of agencies that are a part of what we do. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Kyle?
I'm just so grateful for you and you being in the role you're holding right now. Very lucky. Wish I had had my camera rolling on time because talk about truth to power. I would love to just broadcast your message to the wider world. People understand how that longest government shutdown we've had, the ripple effects of it. It's not like it just affect not just our community, but you're saying there's 200 food banks in the country that are all.
Yes. Well, thank you.
And I think we do have a camera. You were on video.
Oh, okay, there you go. Snip me and share me, right?
And since I jumped in, I'll just say it's great to see you again, and it's just so appreciate your leadership and what you're doing in this incredible time of need. And every year.
I'll just say it's we work. I always say your food bank because it doesn't belong to me or my staff. It's really the community's food bank. 70% of what we do comes and it's fueled by community, right? So we're just happy to be the shepherds of it all, but it's your food bank.
Guillen Martinez?
I personally like volunteering at the food bank a lot. Like I volunteer almost everywhere, but the food bank is like my main spot to volunteer. I know Adriana, she's one of my favorite persons. She just started working there, so I follow her everywhere. She's the person that got me into like community in general. So I follow her everywhere, and she just started working at the food bank. So I followed her to the food bank, and I started doing more things there.
It's great to see you in the warehouse packing food. Thank you, Vicente. Yeah.
Could you share what the most in-demand food is that you need right now?
Rice and beans and pasta sauce and non-sugary cereal because kids love to get a box of cereal. And we actually at the food bank have a no sugar policy. I can tell you that I've had to turn away Frosted Flakes multiple times. I know. But I'll call Kellogg's and I'll say, but I'll take Kix and I'll take, Corn Flakes, right? We do it really because we believe wholeheartedly that if we're going to nourish the community, we're going to contribute to their health and well-being, right? We have a choice in that matter, and we choose to make sure that if we're going to invest money, we're going to source good, wholesome food. And if we're going to accept food, we're going to give food that we know will be nutritious for the community, right? So I know kids don't necessarily like that, but Vicente, sorry, but I'm doing it because I really love you, right? But those are the main items. Tuna is another big popular protein. In fact, I'll tell you, I just learned yesterday that there's 2 women who for the last 2 weeks decided to coordinate a tuna fundraiser in front of Trader Joe's. They've been tabling for tuna. So there's a table in front of Trader Joe's. As the shoppers are going in, they're asking people if they wouldn't mind buying 2 or 3 cans of tuna so that they can in turn take that tuna to the food bank. We didn't coordinate that. That was driven by these two amazing women that I'm yet to meet that I just learned two community members stepped up to help us in that way. So protein is such a expensive commodity for us. We have access to produce, not right now because we're not in season, but protein is such a difficult product. So the tuna, the canned chicken is another popular one. Peanut butter. It used to be that USDA would send us volumes and volumes of peanut butter. We've actually seen a reduction of USDA product coming our way. So peanut butter is a good source of protein, and peanut butter can go a very long way for families as well. Hope that helps. Go shopping.
Thank you. I really appreciate, again, everything that you do for our community.
Yeah.
Thank
de
you.
nada. Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question for the board regarding food. I was thinking about this a lot the other day, and I realized that we have like leftover food at the end of the day, like from the school lunches that we provide. And I'm wondering if it would be possible for us to in turn donate that to the families, like especially the perishable foods. Like we could tell the students like, hey, if you're like in need, like we have the food that's left over and you can come and take it home to your families. I'm wondering if that would be possible.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something that we can coordinate with the different sites directly. Good idea.
What I can do is provide the superintendent with the particular regulations around food safety and food handling and food that's been purchased with USDA dollars and federal monies. And then perhaps you could form your decision based around some information first.
Ian Martinez?
It's not related to the food bank or food, but I remember that the board gave Head Start money, but they meant Mr. Ferris-Sabal, he mentioned that they had till October 31st and they were shut down. Did they shut down or?
Since this is not currently our topic, I don't want to, it would be a Brown Act violation for me to switch to talking about that topic, but I do have a update during my superintendent's report, which is coming up, and I could address it then. Thank you for the question, Vicente.
Okay. So let's move the agenda along. We have 10.2, consideration for approval to adjust the county superintendent's salary schedule. For this one, we had a committee, a specific compensation committee that was formed. Now we're going to have Trustee Williams with her report.
Thank you. Thank you, President Evan. So we are presenting to the board consideration for approval to adjust the county superintendent's salary schedule for the 2026 year. The committee consists of Trustee Sue Roth, myself, along with the help of Leanne Reyes and Troy Cope. According to our Education 1209, it is our responsibility to authorize a fair and reasonable salary for the county superintendent, and these guidelines are set by our administrative regulations 4360. All this information is in the packet, so I'm just kind of summarizing for discussion. A little background, Dr. Sabah has been a dedicated leader for over 25 years in education and has a deep commitment for equity, access, student-centered, diverse education. And so his experience and the work that he's done in our community is well documented. The salary for Santa Cruz superintendent has not been adjusted since 2018. That's 7 years. Additionally, I wanted it to be noted that Dr. Sabah did not elect to accept any previous year's annual bargaining agreement raises. So that is elective and he chose not to accept it. So that should be in consideration as well. As part of our Education Code 1209, we must determine what the salary schedule looks like. There is a process by which this is determined, and that is a study that is both generated by our chief HR officer as well as certification by our Deputy Superintendent of Business. And so the committee met to discuss the steps. And the formula is based upon average salaries of superintendents, 2 large districts in the Santa Cruz County, as well as 2 closest COEs that are geographically similar, as well as their ADA. So that is just the basic general process. Currently, we are proposing a starting salary to begin January 1st, 2026, and that schedule is in the packet. That will start with a salary increase, as well as the preceding steps to be at 2.5% increase for the preceding years. All subsequent benefits are granted as with the management employees of the COE. So I guess that's open to any questions, clarifications.
First, thank you for the great report with staff support. It was really clear and helpful. And I think you've answered my question. So with what we'd be approving tonight, the other management benefits that are provided would include annual cost of living increases in terms of what we're approving. It's up to the superintendent to choose on his own like he has in the past. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So it includes all of the
Annual
regular
cost of
and
living.
yeah, the
Okay.
health benefits, all of those.
So whatever cost of living management employees get, this schedule would go up by that same amount in future
Could elect
years.
to accept that, yes.
If you accept, okay. That was one question because I thought that was important, and it really links to the bigger issue. If there hasn't been a pay increase since 2018, compaction has to start to be an issue at some point, I would think, in terms of appropriate ratios. And
Well,
that's
the
probably out
5
of your
steps
purview.
hasn't been adjusted.
Exercise. Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
adjusted in some years.
Anyway, good report, well deserved. I like the policy that you provided and you're following it and seems to make sense.
Any other questions or comments from anybody? No? If not, then we are looking for a motion.
I'll motion, presenting as the committee.
Motion from
And I'll
Williams
second.
and a second from Roth.
Excellent job.
Okay. Because this is a resolution? No, it's not a resolution. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Sorry,
Aye.
to clarify,
Yes.
President Sanchez, this is a motion to approve.
Yes, correct. Okay,
Didn't hear the approve.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, that.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
Next, 10.3, we have Resolution 25-29, authorizing use of bridge financing. And for this one, we have Leanne Reyes.
Hey, good evening, board. You had a little glimpse of this a few months back when we were talking about our special education project that we are planning to put together around the SoCal High School campus. And this is a final I think this is the final resolution that we need the board to pass that would authorize the County Office of Education to enter into an agreement for bridge financing as need to put the construction together on this building will certainly come well before funding we receive back from the state will happen. Not to mention funding dollars now for construction is going to be a lot more cost effective than waiting 5 to 7 years for actual funding from the state to come in, because with escalation costs, everything that we're experiencing now, we know why it's better to build now and then enter into an agreement for bridge financing. Once bridge financing is secured and once funding is received from the state for both modernization and hardship funding, that's what we're applying for, then those costs would be applied towards any known purpose. However, generally speaking, most people use that to pay down their debt. And so what I'm bringing forward to you today is not the actual amount that we are planning to borrow, but rather the authorization to research and go up to a specified amount of $7.5 million for this particular project. We do have early estimates in. We don't believe the project will actually cost us that much, but we wanted to give ourselves a little cushion. Again, that doesn't mean that's the exact amount we might be borrowing. We're anticipating that it would be a lesser amount. One other thing that I want to just make the board comfortable with, and I know it's a little bit scary that I'm going to be leaving and retiring soon. And so I want to make sure that you're well aware that I've been elbow partnering quite closely for several months now with Michelle Kennedy, who's present here this evening. Michelle had been a CBO in a local district for over 10 years. Michelle's knowledge of construction and building is as extensive as mine. We've been great elbow partners. We've been able to bounce a lot of different ideas off of each other. I'm sharing this with you because I'm very confident that she has a very deep understanding of how this has to work, what the next steps are, what's coming down the line. So I want you to feel comfortable with moving forward and approving this resolution so that we can continue to move forward with our application with the state.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
One
Williams?
question, and I'm sure I asked it the first time we had this discussion, but just, there's no guarantee, of it. So I immediately go into what would be the impact or burden to the COE in our budget should that money not come in or significantly less than what we're expecting?
Good question. We have been running multiple scenarios with varying costs as far as duration of the loan, if there's a buyout possibility of the loan or not. Do we want to go long and have shorter payments? Do we want to go short and have higher payments but save millions of dollars in overall cost? Part of the reason I pulled this before was that interest rates were extremely high in the scenarios that we were seeing. I felt were not attainable. We have new estimates that we received because rates have been dropping down, and they're definitely in a more favorable position for us to go out for bridge financing right now. We've been looking through these quite deeply, Michelle and myself. And we can certainly bring forward some scenarios when we're closer to the time that we actually need to borrow the money, which we're anticipating to be more in the springtime frame. That's our calendar. And then we will bring forward, here's how much, we'll also know how much our costs are going to be at that time, since we're planning to enter into a leaseback agreement, which means we can actually have a GMP or guaranteed maximum price on the project. So it's not like we'll be going in and not really having a well-defined established box of how much will the project actually cost us. So then at that time, then we'll know what are our rates as of that time frame, how much would it be, and going in forward with recommendations. But we'll have various scenarios. The last round we went through, there were about 6 different scenarios. The overall cost of these scenarios were much more favorable than what I was seeing in the summer, which was also why I wanted to pull it, because if I were a board member, I'd be like, whoa, it'd freak me out. So these don't freak me out as bad. What I'm seeing, I think you'll be pleased with some of the numbers that we've currently been looking at. So when that time gets closer to actually decide if we're going to enter into that loan agreement, then we'll bring all those scenarios. Those scenarios will come forward for your approval. This again just allows us to apply for funding.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Kyle?
Leanne, for answering all of my questions via email.
All right. If there is nothing else, I am looking for a motion. Okay, motion from Williams, and a second, I'll take a second from Kyle. All right, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle. Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen. Vice President Williams.
Yes.
President Sanchez.
Yes, passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we have a couple of more resolutions that we have coming up. We're recognizing important people in our community, And we're going to start with 25-46 and going to give the time to Trustee Larson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to do a quick introduction of all three next resolutions and then turn it over to our presenters of those resolutions. You have four resolutions from the Community Outreach and Legislation Committee coming before you tonight. President Sanchez will be presenting the first one, given he's the longest serving member jointly with our recognition. Trustee Van Allen will be presenting the second one for outgoing County Executive Carlos Palacios. And then Student Trustee Amor will be presenting Resolution 10.6 on Special Education Day. And we can just proceed as you wish, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay. Resolution 25-46 in remembrance of Rose Felicetti. I consider myself very fortunate to not only have worked with Rose Felicetti, but also to have considered her a friend. I think she has a big heart, you know, not for the community, I would say, for the people, for everybody, really. There's a way that I could describe her is, like, the word that comes to mind is bright. It's not just her personality, you know, but it's also like reflected on her hair and her glasses, you know, that she would use. It was very hard to talk to her, meet with her, interact with her, and not remember, you know, her and everything that she did. And again, she loved her community so much. She had so much passion that she dedicated her life to it. Looking through what she's done and what all of her accomplishments, it's a lot. You know, there's a lot that could be said, but she was very adamant about like public office and making a difference. You know, she spent a lot of time working with assembly members, working with senators, encouraging people to vote. She dedicated a lot of her time on school boards, not only with us here in Santa Cruz, but also in Santa Clara. And most recently, you know, she saw a need for bringing, again, people together, specifically in the nonprofit world, to the point where she saw a need, a vacuum in the community, and she started her own nonprofit with the purpose of bringing everybody together to have a collaboration and to be able to help and support one another. So that's how I will always remember, you know, Rose Felicetti. She was selfless. You know, she didn't really think about herself much. She cared about other people. And I will always appreciate her for that. I didn't realize it at the time, but, you know, when she started, it really felt like she was taking me under her wings. You know, it's like she set up appointments with Robert Rivas, with John Laird, so that I can start talking to them, so that I can start having those relationships. You know, she knew the value in that, and without me asking for it, you know, that's something that she did, you know, on purpose. Again, I think she really cared. She really cared not only for me and my position on the board, but like my personal life too. Like I'll always remember the fact that, like, I don't know if people know this, but like she would set me up on blind dates, and we would, and because she really cared about me, you know, she wanted me to find the person, you know, and
Beyonce included? Or your what?
so I know that she'd be happy. I know that she'd be really happy. Yeah, to know that I just recently got married and just where I am today, you know, and who I am, and I'm very grateful to her. And that's just my story. And I know that there's dozens, if not hundreds, of other stories of other people in the community, in all these organizations that have worked with her, that have received a positive, you know, impact, support because of her. So I will always remember Rose Felicetti. She will be missed terribly, and just really grateful to have known her, call her a friend. So with that, I want to make a motion to approve resolution 25-46. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle. Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen. Vice President Williams.
Yes.
President Sanchez.
Yes. Passes unanimously. 10.5 Resolution 25-47, recognition of the service of Carlos J. Palacios. For this one, we have Van Allen.
Thank you. I've been involved in politics in this county since the early 70s. And one of the things about being a political activist is you run up against staff a lot, the city staff or county staff. It's not always happy. It's not always, it's often, in fact, confrontational or disputative and difficult. And staff has a particular perspective on things that's not the same as a political activist or an elected official or a citizen who wants good service from their government. Because they have to do something very complicated, operate an institution, just as Ferris does here, that has many employees, has many different responsibilities and many different complications about where its money comes from, dealing with its labor organizations, dealing with different interests in the community and so on. And so I've come to appreciate over the years that when we get a good city manager or a good county administrative officer or CEO, as it's now titled, that's actually a really special thing to have in the community. And I first worked with Carlos Palacios when he was the city manager of Watsonville on a tax measure, probably about 25 years ago. And it was just a pleasure to work with someone who knew what he was doing about running a complicated city organization, but also knew why. And that was for the sake of the community. It wasn't about property values. It wasn't about his own advancement or wealth or getting credit for things. It was in the interest of the community. And that's what Carlos has been all along. So when he moved from Watsonville to being the top administrator of Santa Cruz County, I had a feeling of, okay, we have a good, solid administration in place now with him as a leader. And that has been true, even though I've sure had some disputes with the county over his time. And most of that, though, was really with the board, not with the administrator. So I just want to, I asked if I could be the one to speak up here because I come at it from a point of view of this isn't what I would choose. It's not who I would be. And I probably will fight him again at some point if he stays. Well, he won't be staying, but I have a deep appreciation of Carlos Palacios and his service to our community and to the people here. So that's my introduction to the resolution, and I'm happy to hear from others, or I'll make the resolution. So I'll move resolution 25-47, recognizing the service of Carlos Palacios to the County of Santa Cruz and the City of Watson.
We have a first from Van Allen and a second from Kyle. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle. Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen.
Aye.
Vice President Williams.
Yes.
President Sanchez.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Next, we have resolution 25-48, recognizing Special Education Day. And for this one, we have trustee Moore.
Something I really appreciate about the public education system is that everybody receives a free public education, no matter what their needs are. And the fact that we provide special education for students, I think, is really important. Because everyone deserves a good education, and it's really important. And this resolution is just recognizing National Special Education Day. This is really important for everyone because special education really helps all of those with disabilities and with people who've struggled with a lot of like traditional school settings, and all of these people have usually gone through something to need these services, and the fact that we can provide them like free of charge, I think is necessary and like very important and should be recognized.
Questions, comments, motion?
I motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion from Moore and a second from Williams. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Gian Martinez. Aye. Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle. Aye. Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth. Trustee Van Allen. Vice President Williams. President Sanchez.
Yes, passes unanimously. 10.7, now we have the first reading of Board Policies 2000 series with Artificial Intelligence BP 0441 with Trustee Van Allen.
Thank you. Trustees, we have several policies coming, and the policy committee, which is newly formed, is kind of just getting its feet wet, and some of these policies probably need further work. So we're recommending that they be that the action item be limited to a first reading and not a final adoption for most of them. The first one under 10.7 relates to a kind of a high level of what our category of policies are. And this one is about artificial intelligence. When the committee looked at it, the resolution is based on recommendations from CSBA. It's very general and somewhat provisional in the sense of it does recognize that there's a lot of change happening in the area of artificial intelligence. My own opinion is that given that we have our chief technology officer and a working group on artificial intelligence within the COE, that I wanted to be sure that we didn't establish policies not in sync with them. Bernice was good enough to let the staff know about this. My expectation is that this policy on artificial intelligence will come back after Jason and that team do some work and refine it into more specifics about our situations and how we want to address things, and also just keeping up with the evolution of the technology. So again, it's a very general resolution, but I do think it serves, and I think it's time for our board to begin to establish policies, knowing that this is beginning, not the final. Happy to take questions about that.
So a clarifying question, we are approving what's in front of us, but could potentially get a newer updated version in the near future?
Yes, but I don't know when that is, and that's up to the team that's working on the artificial intelligence, principles and practices. And so to me, this one suffices now, but it's just kind of general.
Meets the minimum requirements. Okay, got it. Larson?
I was actually pleased to see this coming forward so quickly after last month's great presentation, but I totally support the notion of before the second reading, it spends time with the staff that works with it directly. You did answer one of my questions. For most of the policies, you are following some of CSBA's guidance, at least as a starting point. That's good to know. I was really pleased with this, just what I call the 4 E's: ethics, equity, engagement, and evaluation being embedded clauses in there. And I was happy to see that in there, but I look forward to the updated version coming back with staff input. I did want to share that SCUSBA, the Santa Cruz County School Boards Association, met Monday, and there was discussion about having a future meeting focused on artificial intelligence, both a policy such as this, as well as the presentation we had. So I could see sometime in early 2026, that being a focus open to all school board members in the county, not just SCUSBA representatives. Wanted to tee that up there for you.
Good idea.
Any other questions or comments? No?
I'll move the resolution, the item. What is it, the resolution? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, move approval for first reading of board policy 0441.
So to come back for the second
Well,
reading?
actually, on this one, this one, I don't think it needs the first reading. It's just that we know that in the future, we will probably be adding to it or amending it. I think it stands fine just now.
Okay.
Does that make, Rachel, is that?
I think with this particular one, since we have identified potential sub policies that are referenced and the fact that it needs to be reviewed by our IT department in their view, that as a first reading, it doesn't require any approval. It's just a discussion and people's feedback as a first reading. And then when we bring it back for the second reading, that's when we vote.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with that process. Yeah. So this is informational at this. Rachel brings up an important point that I missed when our committee met, which is that a couple of these policies actually refer to other policies that it turned out we didn't have or that they need updating and so on. So that's part of the reason we're coming to you a little bit wet behind the ears with our committee work, because we need to do some further analysis of it. So 10.8 has to do, I'm sorry.
So no motion, 10.7.
Yeah, so am I right? Is that right?
Well, you really have two choices. You either make a motion to approve the first reading, which is not to finalize it, and then you approve it. You will have a second action at a future board meeting where you would approve it, the second reading and its implementation, or you don't make any motion at this point, and then at a future board meeting you would make a motion that does both a first reading and its final approval.
Actually think of a third one, which would be to refer it to Jason and.
So my point is only that you have to have a first and a second. You could do it combined, or you can break it down. You can break it apart.
Procedurally, I had always gone on the idea that if you do a first reading, then you have to specify when the second reading will be. Do we have to do that?
I don't think so.
Maybe that was a
No,
city rule.
I don't. To my knowledge, that's not necessary. A first reading would just, as you're saying, knowing that you're going to get feedback. I also know that I had a conversation with Trustee Moore, who had some other recommendations. Maybe another E for environmental responsibility, for example, was one of the things that he mentioned. So I think Trustee Moore would like to participate in providing additional guidance.
Well, I think then I will make a motion for first reading, knowing that it's not obliging us, and it will come back to us when it's ripe for that. Do you want to say something now? Yes.
I would appreciate to leave it until further to really put it in like sort of motion. So I would appreciate it if we could leave it until later to do the first and second, then after we've really put a lot more like thought and discussion into this.
Clarify, you're asking to table this motion, so not to do a first reading at this point.
Yes.
Technically, a motion to table takes precedence and has to be voted on.
Okay. So we have a first from Van Allen and we have a second from Williams. If there are no more questions.
No,
We have to do the
we
table.
have to do a motion to table. That takes precedence over everything else. And
Yes.
trustee.
So he has a motion.
Parliamentary rules.
Yeah,
You have
he
to address the
inserted,
table.
Trustee Moore inserted a table motion,
Takes precedence.
puts that motion on pause.
Okay. Now we need a second for that motion.
Correct.
Okay.
So, could you state your motion clearly that you're making a motion to table the?
I motion to table the policy on to a later date.
Okay.
The thing about a motion to table is you move right away to a vote, and that's why it doesn't need a second. It just takes that,
Okay.
We never get
We don't do
parliamentary.
this,
here.
exactly.
He and I know it.
That's very often. Okay, we have a motion to table. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Asking for a roll call, this could also be a voice. It's up to your discretion. I will.
Let's do a voice.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do a voice to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so motion has been tabled. and will be brought at a later date once all of the modifications and updates that were discussed during this meeting are made to the board policy.
Thank you.
Moving on to 10.8, we have the first reading now of the board policies from the 5000 series.
So these relate to issues directly concerning students. And there are 3 possible resolutions. 2 of them actually do not have those references to other policies that haven't been addressed or included. The first one, the release of directory information, I think does have that problem, right, Rachel?
Which one are you speaking of?
5125.1. Release of directory information. And again, these were mostly based on recommendations from CSBA that we update policies or adopt them if we didn't have. The big change in this one is about the role of military recruiters getting this information.
I will just add to the board, the highlighted yellows are the CSBA recommended changes. All 3 of these policies are already adopted, with the exception of the yellow highlights.
Yeah.
I had a question on that line, the first line of the 5th paragraph. In what context do colleges, employers, and recruiters have access to student information? How does that happen?
So generally speaking, you're asking when do they request that information? So for example, it can occur at different times. So we receive requests for student information from, let's say, the community college requesting information for the recruitment day to help with pre-registration for students, for example. This policy allows us to provide that information. What were the other groups you mentioned?
Colleges, prospective employers, including military recruiters. That's the list, yeah, shall have access.
Right. So we haven't, to my knowledge, gotten requests from military recruiters at the COE, at least, to my knowledge, at least in the time that I've been here. But so they are able to make those requests and we do have an opt-out clause that is part of the registration process. And that's true also for the community college as well. And so when families register, they're able to opt out of us making that information available to them. I do believe that they do make those requests before recruitment activities that they do sometimes they come onto campus as they're able to do that. And as long as those students have not opted out of providing that, or their families have not opted them out of that information, then that directory information is made available to those and to potential businesses, as well as, and of course, the community college.
What is the information that we are talking about?
So directory information includes its contact information, so name, phone number, address. That's so that fits directory information fits a very specific definition, which is basically how to contact.
Ben Allen.
So this again is one of the ones for a first reading, and I think we should do these separately. So I will move adoption of first reading for board policy 5125.1 as drafted with the yellow highlighted.
There's a second.
I will second as the first reading.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Perfect.
Next one, 5145.3, non-discrimination and harassment. We're adding some significant paragraphs and doing a little bit of editing, and the committee did some work to make the descriptions of who should not be discriminated against more consistent. It be a more feedback on that when when the committee met. Again, this one does not, as I understand, refer to any other policies, so we could adopt this one.
I would motion that this would be the first and second reading.
I would second that. Question?
So, yes, Kyle?
I had some questions. I figure out what paragraph it's in. But there's reference to restorative justice. Oh, paragraph above record keeping. There's incident of racist bullying, harassment, or intimidation. There's opportunity for restorative justice. I'm wondering why the restorative justice is limited to racist bullying in here. We have other described acts of harassment and bullying.
Question?
Broaden the category of triggers for restorative justice.
I would certainly be favorable to that. I mean, again, this came pretty much boilerplate from CSBA, and I think you're raising a good point.
You have recommended language to add specifically?
But if we do a second reading, can we do amendments? So why don't we do that? Adopt it for first reading and bring it back soon.
So I will revise my motion to make this as a first reading.
We'll need the second
Oh,
period.
Oh,
I'm
second,
sorry.
yes, sir.
I revised my
Do
motion.
you accept it?
Yes. Good, thank you.
And then trustee Kyle will submit her verbiage comments online. For the second reading. Great. Can we, yep. Can we get a roll call vote, please? No, we don't need it. All those in favor, I'd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Perfect.
Thank you. The next one is regarding the subject of sexual harassment. The changes, again, I believe, are all recommended from CSBA. Yes. And this one could stand on its own. I think it's ready to go unless there.
Al?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Kyle, can you use the microphone?
Yes.
Thank
Are
you.
we doing first reading right now or we're still editing or? Okay, I just had some verbiage. There is a place somewhere in here where it says repetitive, which I thought we didn't need the word repetitive. It's about,
Is the word repetitive? Is it-
yeah, it has the word repetitive. But I don't think
it's
we
the-
need the bullying to be repetitive. I think we could just say any instance.
The
It's
last
in the
sentence.
paragraph of record keeping.
Thank you. That's why I put it on that page.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yes,
prevent
the very
repetitive
last line. Thank you.
harassing behavior.
Yes, and prevent and take out repetitive harassing behavior.
Is it just take out the word repetitive? Okay, right. Any other comments, questions? Well, I will move this one for first and second reading with that amendment, striking the word repetitive from that last paragraph titled record keeping, page 130 in our agenda.
Second?
First from Van Allen, second from Kyle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Now we're on 10.9, the first reading of the board policies 6,000 series.
Trustees, this one is about recognition of religious beliefs and customs. The main change was adding the holiday of Diwali to the list of recognized observances that may impact attendance. And it's okay.
No.
Oh, no, this one refers to other policies and therefore could only be adopted on a first reading.
Um,
Those are home.
Thank you. No, I'm on the resolution committee. They can attest to my wordsmithing. On page 132. Where this is appropriate. Oh, culture, literature, or the arts. I was wondering if we could add the word history.
You're in the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Illustrate their relationship with culture, literature, or the arts, using religious works and symbols. Illustrate their relationship with, I could see adding history there. I would accept that as a. But we are doing this as a first, so
reading.
it'll come back. Yeah.
And then I had a question on the last page of this. The top line, COE schools shall not prohibit religious activities if the same or similar non-religious activities are not permitted. I was just wondering if you could explain that line. I didn't understand what the sentence.
Did come from the CSBA. Prohibit religious activities if the same or similar non-religious activities are permitted. I think the idea is that if something is considered a religious activity, but somebody does the same thing not in a religious context, and the one that's doing it in the religious context can't prevent it or prohibited.
I just give you an example. So if, let's say there is a, let's say Halloween costumes is something that is permitted at the school. And let's say somebody has, part of their religion is to celebrate Halloween, and that is a religious activity for them. That the fact that the Halloween costumes is part of that one student's religious does not make the activity religious. And so it's allowed because non-religious, it is considered a non-religious activity.
Okay, so other questions or comments? And I will move this one for first reading. This is Board Policy 6141.2A.
I'll second this one
First from Van Allen, second from Larson.
with the change.
Okay.
Adding the word history in there, but it will come back for a second.
Okay. Is that clear? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, trustees. We'll try to be more on it.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work. And it's,
That is,
that goes
if I could just say, that was the most engaged policy discussion I've ever seen on any board ever. So congratulations to everybody. That was really great. I was very impressed, seriously. Well done.
Okay. So now we have the last resolution, 10.10, 25-49, recognizing Computer Science Week with Trustee Larson.
I'll start. Last resolution from the committee, and as we did with Trustee Amor, and hopefully we'll do in the future, Trustee Dr. Kyle is going to present this one.
Thank you. I'm happy to. This resolution is to recognize Computer Science Week coming up. And see, I'm going off here because I just got this assignment this afternoon. So this is a new resolution, which I'm pleased to bring before the board. It celebrates equitable computer and technology access. It recognizes the amazing internal and external facing work that our IT department does. I'm very excited about the upcoming playgrounds, computer science playgrounds happening in both South County and North County. And just as with my personal hat on, I've been encouraging STEM in schools as a parent and also in the Live Oak Education Foundation. So just to have the COE model this and support this and expand the opportunities for all kids across the county is amazing. And I'm excited that we've taken this step. With that, I will move to accept.
This one I just thought was a great one to bring forward. I wanted to second the notion and the concept of having an IT department that's not just internally serving, but that's broader, externally focused as well with students in our schools and others that we work with is just a great way to broaden the culture of being student first and student serving throughout the organization. Glad to second this one.
First from Kyle, second from Larson. If there's no questions or comments, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle. Trustee Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen. Vice President Williams.
Yes.
President Sanchez.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, we are in section 11 with the superintendent's report.
Thank you so much, President Sanchez, members of the board. I want to share a few things. This picture actually was a part of a gathering of folks from different agencies across the county who came together today, called by the county to discuss the different impacts that are occurring in all the different parts of our community. And we had a great discussion to gauge how our community is being impacted by the current situation, and what are ways that we can work together to provide support, as in similar to the discussion we had with Erica Padilla Chavez. I did want to share with you that I got to participate in an activity that we were able to support, Building Bridges in Indigenous Education, that was hosted at Cabrillo College. And really a wonderful opportunity. Were any of you able to? I don't think I saw. I didn't think I saw any of you there, but really a wonderful event to be able to really center Indigenous voices and ensuring that we are incorporating those voices as a fundamental part of kind of as the building blocks of our educational experience for students. And this is something that I hope will expand, and we look forward to partnering more in this work. I did want to share that recently in the news, there was a situation with immigration officials who decided to do something that was also done in Chicago, which was that to attempt to intercept and detain folks, parents who were waiting in line to pick up their kids at a nearby school in Oakland. That resulted in a car accident and potential injuries. And the school went into took steps. They used the term lockdown. But it was just a reminder of the fact that this kind of action, even though we haven't seen on-school type of activity, but it can impact our schools. We have to be thoughtful about this. We have to be prepared, and we have protocols in place to address a situation like that. But it is something that is a reminder of the many challenges our community continues to face, and and how immigration activity and enforcement can impact our school community. Oh, that's a repeat. I did want to share with you that we have reestablished the African American Student Achievement Committee in collaboration with the NAACP. This is a group that has been in place since we established it in 2019, prior to the pandemic, really to look at the experience of our African American students. At that time, the African American students represented 0.8% of the total population in Santa Cruz County. Currently, students who identify as African American represent 0.4% of the population. But what we have seen is a doubling in the number of students that identify as of two or more races. And so we know that students' identities can be complex, and students may be choosing to identify as two or more races as opposed to African American. However, this committee looks at, of course, the strengths that students bring to our schools and our school community, but also the challenges that they're experiencing. And specifically, in our first meeting, we started to talk about the hate speech that students are experiencing on our school campuses, specifically the use of the N-word and its devastating effects for those students. And so this is something that we continue to, unfortunately, witness, and it is something that is of great concern to this committee, and we're going to continue looking at things that we can do to eliminate hate speech from our campuses. I wanted to address the disruption to Head Start, and lots of folks are asking what Trustee Guillen mentioned earlier, which is what is happening with Head Start. As you remember, we did provide some funding, some bridge funding to Head Start to be able to contract with them to be able to continue providing services to complete their contract. Because they were going to shut down without completing their contract, which would have meant an immediate forfeiture of their contract with the Head Start program, and would have made their authorization by Head Start revert to a competitive process as opposed to a kind of a dedicated process that they currently have. Unfortunately, they did complete the school year and ended at the end of October. They had to do layoffs for their staff and also work to provide different opportunities, different solutions for students to be able to find alternative placements. The Pajaro Valley Unified School District partnered with Encompass to try to help those students find preschool programs. Now, at this point, Head Start has not received its authorization for renewal. That was an impact of the government shutdown. And it is unclear exactly when that's going to occur. And so we are currently in an unknown phase because they have not received that notification. I do have a meeting with them for tomorrow, and I will be able to provide a better update in December. We're hopeful that they are going to be able to reestablish those services. They were receiving $10 million a year for those services. That money would be lost and possibly revert to a competitive process. However, part of the notification that they received prior to the shutdown was that the funding was going to be reduced to $6 million. So at this point, my understanding is they haven't received any kind of authorization. And so those families currently, especially those outside of the Pajaro Valley, we've been trying to work with those families to identify different programs to help them to find a program that will help them, help those students be in a preschool program. And we understand that many of those staff are still do not have jobs at this point. And so this has been extremely disruptive to over 250 children, plus additional early start students, and in addition to dozens of staff that were providing those services. I also wanted to share with you that it is time for us to retire this furniture. Our staff has been diligent in trying to cover up some of the damages that you hopefully have not noticed. And so we are looking to have new furniture installed in February. And so we're looking forward to that so that'll be at the beginning of February of 2026. I did also want to share with you that Sequoia High School has a new makerspace program. This is something that we're trying to expand to more school sites, and students are really enjoying these opportunities. So we continue to expand those creative ideas, and so I'd love it if any board members would be interested in coming to visit, and we'll share maybe some times that would work for you to come and check it out. One of the most exciting things that happens every year is the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. This occurred on November 14th, last week. And you see Miss Mink Brooker, who was our Teacher of the Year last year, and leading the walk. And of course, Ruby Bridges is the 6-year-old girl who, in 1960 in Louisiana, surrounded by U.S. Marshals, being the face of courage, was the girl that helped desegregate the schools in the South. And so we honored Ruby Bridges and of course, not only her courageous walk, but also our commitment to justice by participating. I got to hang out with Trustee Larson as we went to Santa Cruz High School at lunchtime.
But what's amazing is that it's spread all over it has spread all over Santa Cruz County. So San Lorenzo Valley, Soquel Elementary, Live Oak School District, Santa Cruz High School, Soquel High School, and of course the biggest group was at PV High School, where lots and lots of students we actually walk across the bridge over Highway 1 and onto the campus, and then we got to speak with students who are allowed to participate from there, because it starts at 8:30, and that's when many teachers bring their students into the quad. Really a wonderful experience, and just really grateful for the Black Student Union. You'll see that some of the students in the front there on the left side are wearing that's the Black Student Union shirts that Ms. Brooker helps mentor at PV High School, and just a wonderful event to bring our community together. Some important upcoming events. Tomorrow night, we have our Her Story ribbon cutting, and so we'd love it if you could join us. There's also what's not on here is the Day of Remembrance that the Diversity Center is organizing, unfortunately, at that same time. And so, not that I'm wanting you to not go to the Her Story ribbon cutting event, because that's going to be wonderful, but we'd love it for you to be there. Also, of course, our computer science playgrounds. We have one in Watsonville High School and also one at the Santa Cruz Mall. This is really great. Families and kids get to play around with some really cool technology and to inspire young people to think about careers in technology, and just really have fun with that technology. For the winter time, we'd like you to just be aware of some of these great events that are taking place: Poetry Out Loud, Latino Role Models Conference, Mock Trial, our TK Pre-K Community Forum. We are working in partnership with the county clerk to organize a civic summit. I don't know if you remember the last time we did that, but it was a great event many years ago, and we're bringing it back to encourage civic engagement for our youth with students from every high school in the county. And so that's going to be on February 27th. Of course, the wonderful STEAM Expo is going to be amazing, and our World Languages Showcase. So we'll continue to remind you about these great events, and hopefully you can get them on your calendars as well. And I will open it up for questions at this time. I thought that, unless my understanding is that they may have, but my understanding is that Watsonville High School students were encouraged to go to PV High School to participate in the PV High Walk. So I believe some of the many students that walked across PV High were actually from Watsonville High School. And because there was a lot of students there, if you could see from the pictures, and so I think that some of those students came over from Watsonville High. Yeah.
The PV last year.
Yeah, it was a great event. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the superintendent's report?
Yes. What was the other activity? I already had plans to go to the Her Story, but what is the
Yes.
other event through
So
Diversity Center?
so this is the Day of Remembrance for the queer community, and this is to honor people who have lost their lives from the queer community this year and in years past. This is going to be at the, it's also 5 o'clock tomorrow, and it's going to be at the Resource Center for Nonviolence.
Oh yeah, I remember my question. I remember that you said at Sequoia they have a makerspace. What exactly is a makerspace?
That's a great question. So a makerspace is I would call it, at least for me, it's like a fun playground for using different tools to be able to create stuff. And so makerspace is a place where different kinds of tools are made available for students. So everything from plastic pipes to a laser cutter to a 3D printer
to, of course, computers. And so students are able to come up with projects so that we work with them after school for this currently, because it hasn't been incorporated into the schedule yet. So if a student wants to make a go-kart, for example, they're able to get the motors and create a go-kart. If students are wanting to create, kind of intro level, not quite robotics, because we also have a robotics program, but able to create whatever they can imagine. They not only get the tools because they're in the classroom, but they also get support from a staff member who helps them understand how to use those tools. So like the laser cutter, let's say sometimes students want to make a gift for their family member, and they want to carve, let's say, the name of their family member on wooden box. They would learn how to use those tools to make that, to utilize the laser cutter, and it actually.
Would I be able to go?
Sure, it's after school, and so I could let you know when we're doing it. So absolutely, as a county board trustee, you get lots of perks for sure.
Okay. If there are no more questions, then we will go with the trustee reports. And I will start with myself this month. And I just want to start by saying that I am pretty happy to be where I am today. And a big part of that is this year's been challenging in multiple ways, but it feels like I've turned a corner for sure. Got married 2 weeks ago and was at a nice honeymoon the week after, and then started a new job this week. So it's just, there's a lot of things that are falling into place, and I'm very excited and happy to be able to contribute and be more involved in the community. So haven't been doing much, didn't do anything this past month other than planning, the wedding and those details. But December, I look forward to the good things that are to come next month. That's my report. Trustee Williams.
Well, congratulations on both. I only knew about one of them, so
thank you.
But congratulations on both. So I attended the monthly Community Advisors Council meeting. Had fun volunteering for the 4th or 5th year with Wine and Roses for the Community Health Trust of Pajaro Valley. That's always a fun event. If you haven't been, you should go. Plus, I also won amazing wine. So maybe if we have an after party here one time. Attended a webinar titled Caring for Those Who Care for Students. And that was put on by the California Department of Education. That was really interesting. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it was definitely, teachers learning how to take care of themselves and caregivers. But it was just an overall really great kind of just don't forget about taking care of yourself, because you can't take care of yourself if you can't take care of yourself, right? So it was really great. Attended the Ruby Bridges event at Live Oak Elementary School. It was their first year, was there with Nick. And I just could not stop smiling. Those kids are adorable. The teachers and educators did such an amazing job all week talking about Ruby Bridges. And so when they had their little gathering after, any question they had, is every student knew the answer. And it was so moving. It was amazing. And of course, attended the policy meeting. We have lots of work, got lots of work to do there, and attended the SCESBA meeting and learned a lot. I'm probably going to try to make it a habit. I learned what's going on in other districts, which is really helpful when people ask you, do you know what's going on? So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Van Allen.
I did some committee work, policy committee, and also the community outreach and legislative committee, and was part of a team that managed to win an election for a good thing, for Measure C for affordable housing, which can even be included in potential funding for teacher housing or educational workforce housing. Pretty happy about that.
Thank you. Larson.
I submitted a written write-up, but I did want to comment a couple things. A little over 80 years ago, we had a president sign an executive order that put 80,000 Americans and 40,000 foreign nationals arguably in prison. And it just struck chords for what's going on today. And for the first time, I visited the Manzanar internment camp over in Eastern California. And it was just so powerful to see what's going on today juxtaposed to 80 years ago, and just it was powerful. Ruby Bridges, my first time, the powerful story for me there was realizing she was born 5 months before me. And as she's going to first grade, she's making this monumental and courageous act. And I'm thinking, I wasn't doing that in first grade, but the powerful connection there. Yesterday, I went to two things I wanted to mention. Try to a couple times a year attend the school boards that are in my trustee area meeting just to make sure that I know I exist. And so I went to Pacific Elementary School Board and I learned about the principal, who's also the superintendent and is also the head custodian during the day, as he calls it. He does all three jobs because it's a one school district. And he has this vision called the Concrete Vision, which is to have Davenport and Pacific Elementary take over the CEMEX site and to really transform it. So I'm going to make a future trip up there to learn a little bit more about that. And it's just an incredible vision. And if there's anybody who can pull it off, it's probably this superintendent. He's quite impressive. Last night after the board meeting, I went to Lookout Santa Cruz 5th year anniversary. And what was exciting was two things. One, they have a cool new graphic logo. It's not their real logo, but it's not a bad logo. And I got a black sweatshirt that my son immediately appropriated from me because he liked it. So I lost my sweatshirt the moment I walked in the house. But relevant to what we do here, the founder talked about the next 5 years. And they've started work already by giving students access to Lookout. And they're launching now, literally right now, an effort to give teachers throughout the county access. They've targeted 400 teachers initially, I guess, to target to give access to the old newspaper in the classroom or newspaper in education thing. Lookout's taking it to the next level for digital media for student and teacher access. So it was just exciting to see that focus and to see Dr. Sabah raise a toast to Lookout's next 5 years. So,
Thank you. Kyle?
I'm gonna put my timer on because when I looked at my calendar, I actually had done quite a bit, which was surprising. I'll start with today. Right before the meeting, I came straight from New Brighton Middle School where I got to see their new field, and it's amazing. They have a track out there, an artificial turf field, a soccer field where my daughter was playing. Beautiful. If you get a chance, go check it out. They did a great job. Earlier today, I met with a couple of Soquel Union parents who are interested in starting an education foundation for that district. So I gave them the story of my experience, and I am on tap to answer questions moving forward for them. But I'm always happy to answer questions in that regard. Last night, X Academy through CSCOE hosted a little Zoom webinar, or actually it wasn't even a webinar, open house, I'll call it, for middle school parents who are interested in starting an underwater ROV club. I did not quite read the email all the way through when I signed up to go to that. But it was fascinating to learn about the high school program and hear about it. It was really something I hope that there are parents that take it up. And it was a great presentation and a lot of resources offered and a lot of support offered if parents have the capacity to take that on. I completed my required trainings. I did the CSBA ethics training and the ACCBE Brown Act training. I also attended the CSBA's webinar on the County Governance Handbook. I went on the open house and tours of the Teen Kitchen Project, which was fantastic. We have friends that have volunteered there, but I'd never been in the settings. And so I'm really excited about their expansion project and their new space that would help them. I mean, what a wonderful project. It's just a win-win-win across the board, but hopefully they'll have more capacity to produce more meals, serve more people, but also give the teens the opportunity to learn how to do all the culinary skills and get volunteer and eventually paid work. So wonderful organization. I went on a prospective tour of CSUMB, and I'd never been to the campus, and what an amazing local resource that is for us. And I don't know where you applied, but check them out. Okay, good. I was very impressed. I hope one of my children goes there because then they'd be close as well. And then I attended the Tech Trek alum luncheon, which Tech Trek is sponsored by the AAUW, who you were speaking to, I think, the following week after the luncheon. And my daughter was lucky enough to be a participant. Tech Trek is a 1-week long camp for girls during the summer up at Camp Carson at UCSC. And AAUW supports, I think it was probably 12 rising 8th grade girls across Santa Cruz County, but the girls who participate and show up at the camp are from across the state. So my daughter's roommates were from Fresno and San Luis Obispo. And it is, oh, I'm over time, but ask me if you want me to keep going? Okay. I mean, it's a selection process, teacher nomination, then you apply, then you're interviewed, and then you have to be selected. And then when you're selected, you have the opportunity to choose one of 4 core classes you want to do. She chose math, but there was engineering, technology, science, which I think was biology. And they have, I mean, it was just amazing. They live in the dorms, they eat in the cafeteria, they did a field trip to the boardwalk to study the Giant Dipper, but they also had women engineers from the Santa Cruz Public Works maybe department going down to talk to them about the traffic circle down there and traffic dynamics. They had large group, I mean, it was literally an all-day thing. My daughter decided to wake up at 5 a.m. to take showers because the shower at night was too late. She was too exhausted by that time. So they have the morning core class, and then they would have their group workshop, and then they'd have lunch, and then they'd have another workshop, and I think maybe core class, and then an evening. So they had panels of women engineers. Joby Aviation was out there. Granite Construction came, and it was just the core classes were run by usually grad students, maybe professors or research assistants from the university. High quality STEM, just all-inclusive experience. It was wonderful. So anyways, the luncheon was where the girls had to get up at a podium and speak for 3 minutes about their experience. And it was just wonderful to hear from each of them what they took from the experience. With that, I'm way over time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Rob?
All I did was go to Oregon, and I'll report that the humor is very, very good. Helicopters. There was joy in the Portland area. Anyway. Pardon
It's
me?
not a war zone?
No, and I did keep asking about it, and where that was taking place wasn't even in Portland. But anyway.
All right, thank you. Item 13 now, ad hoc standing committee, any reports or actions? No? Okay. I want to remind everybody that our next regularly scheduled meeting is December 18th, 2025. There will likely be graduations before then, the winter, right? So I'm sure there's going to be an email that's going to go out in terms of when and where. Those are always fun. Definitely encourage anybody who can to attend those. And with that, our meeting is
Oh, wait,
adjourned.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. One
Oh.
action, for the scheduled meetings, and upcoming events, we do have the option to schedule meetings during this agenda item. And I am proposing 2 different dates to the board for our special board retreat on a Saturday, where we have our CSBA facilitator come in and do a board governance, board self-evaluation with you all. So both days are on a Saturday. It would be beginning at 9, and it would be between 4 to 6 hours.
Does anybody know that they can't, if they can't make one, or?
I think that there is a special celebration on the 10th. Yes. For Leanne.
There is, so we would be having a wonderful board retreat and then all heading down the street to go party.
Come on now.
Or we could not. I'm not sure how much energy you all have.
Oh, I forgot to mention it was a surprise. Oh.
I just said a special celebration. I didn't call anybody out.
Forget what you heard. No, it was
I
not.
said, is there a special celebration? I'm not sure.
We like to party beginning at 9 a.m. and end at 10 p.m. here. But there are 2 dates, and I would ask that the board make an action to approve one of them so that I can confirm the facilitator and sign those contracts.
So the 2 dates are what?
January 10th or January 24th.
I prefer the 24th. I have college move back day on. Okay. 24th.
24th works. I would just have to leave by.
Either one works for me.
Okay, I mean,
No.
I make a motion. I make a motion to have it January 24, 2026.
I second.
Motion from Williams and a second by Van Allen. All those in favor for January 24th for
Yes.
our special board meeting, January 24th. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will be sending you all information once I get them from CSBA regarding your homework to prepare.
Homework.
Homework. You didn't start off with that.
It's a self-evaluation.
Okay. And with that, our meeting is now adjourned. Thanks, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
attending.